following is an exclusive Sports Vision presentation. November 1986, the IHSA 5A state title game, where quarterback Kent Graham lived up to his billing as the top prep quarterback in the country by connecting on this touchdown pass, leading Wheaton North to a state crown. That set the stage for Buffalo Grove's Mark Benson, whose masterful performance included this pass to standout receiver Mark Sheedy as the Bison became 6A champs. Two outstanding performers who led their teams to state titles are set to do battle. Direct from Kroller Field on the campus of North Central College in Naperville, Illinois, Sports Vision presents the Chicago Sun-Times North-South Suburban High School All-Star Football Game. And what you see is plenty of rain, and we're looking for a mud fest here today, what they call a mudder when you get on that wet track, and we'll see who has the advantage today as we get ready for football. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Hayes, along with Bill Gorley. Well, what are these conditions going to mean, Bill, in terms of what these teams do offensively and how they do it?
Well, in talking with the coaches, of course, they were coming into an all-star game because they wanted to pass the football. And, of course, this weather precludes that they can do that. However, they did say that the ground needed a lot of water, but at the rate we're getting the water right now, it's got to be a mud bath.
I think it's great to have an opportunity to see these kids out here, a lot of them who perhaps didn't get the attention. What about the ideas in terms of what these two teams are going to attempt to do with the personnel they have?
Well, of course, going into the football game, Bill, you knew darn well with a week of practice that they were not going to run the football a great deal. They wanted to pass the football. Of course, now with the way the weather conditions are, that's going to change. The other thing is the humidity and the hot weather that we've had would certainly change some of their plans. Now, again, it's cooled off. You're going to see all the players play, and of course Bill Mack was a little concerned at the beginning of the game that maybe he would not have enough players to be able to do the things he wanted to do.
A few moments ago, our viewers had a chance to see Benson and Graham, two outstanding quarterbacks. What do you think of these young men?
Well, of course, that's why you wanted to go into a north-south game with the idea that you were going to definitely throw the football. And you've got Kent Graham going to Notre Dame, and you've got Mark Benson going to Northwestern, and I really feel that you're going to hear a lot from these two people later on in collegiate football.
A lot of outstanding players. We're going to meet them right now. We'll start with the North squad participating in this game. We'll meet their players, coaches, and trainers.
Brian Rogers, quarterback, St. Charles.
Gary Glauser, strong safety, Grant.
Rob Prosniewski, defensive back, Crystal Lake Central.
Yeah.
Kev Callahan, running back, St. Edward.
Gary Francis, defensive back, Maine South.
Okay.
Brian Griffen, free safety, Waukegan West.
Mike Howlett, wide receiver, Schaumburg.
Justin Fleetwood, defensive end, Sycamore.
Mark Benson, quarterback, Buffalo Grove.
Paul Haas, linebacker, Larkin High School.
Derek Lewis, kicker, Larkin.
John Even, defensive tackle, Crystal Lake Central.
Kenny Russell, East Aurora, tailback.
Eric Anderson, fullback, Glenbrook South.
Steve Christian, cornerback, Corner High School.
Corky Kane, linebacker, Loyola Academy.
Steve Weron, defensive back, St. Charles.
Jim Sellergreen, tailback, Maine South.
Brad Frystak, linebacker, Grant.
Jim Wagner, linebacker, Buffalo Grove.
Billy Kerstein, tailback, Deerfield.
Ralph McLean, center, Waukegan West.
Good.
Mike Degen, defensive line, Lake Park.
Eric Christensen, linebacker, Libertyville.
Matt Bourke, offensive guard, Maine South High School.
Jim Wormsley, offensive tackle, Dundee Crown. Rick Godfrey, center, St. Charles High School.
Tom Weyhrich, guard, Glenbrook South.
Paul Claps, nose guard, Palatine. Tim Carsello, defensive tackle, Barrington.
Bob Wolf, defensive tackle, Wheeling High School.
Stan Holsen, offensive tackle, Maine South. Mike Lowe, defensive end, St. Charles High School.
Scott Center, offensive guard, Round Lake.
Walter Cade, wide receiver, Glenbrook South.
Mark Sheedy, wide receiver, Buffalo Grove.
My name's Tim Gleason. I'm a defensive tackle, and I went to Loyola Academy.
Dan Buchanan, tight end, Corner High School.
Jim Swanson, tight end, Maine South.
Bill Mack, Crystal Lake Central.
Mike Rogowski, Grant High School. Bill Murphy, Crystal Lake Central.
Steve Wapon, Antioch High School.
Bob Carlson, Dundee Crown High School.
Mike Down, Round Lake High School.
John Durkitz, Palatine High School.
Neil Wywolowski, Naperville Central and Naperville North.
Well, there you are, some outstanding talent for the North squad. Not only a lot of good players, but big players as well. And the South squad will challenge them. Let's meet their players, coaches, and trainer.
Will Dooley, cornerback, Leiden.
Kim Parks, halfback, Joliet Central.
Jack Hull, cornerback, Edison Trail.
Brian Wise, tight end, Tinley Park High School.
Kent Graham, quarterback, Wheaton North. Dave Mitidiero, quarterback, Lockport.
Richard Buchanan, cornerback, Proviso East.
Ryan McGee, halfback, Richards High School.
Kevin Myers, defensive tackle, Lincoln Way.
Pat New, wide receiver, Bennett Academy.
Dan Frevaletti, linebacker, Bennett Academy. Kevin Walsh, linebacker, Leiden.
Jay White, wide receiver, Stag.
Andy Gasparro, fullback, Marion Catholic.
Jason Whitehead, free safety, Waubonsie Valley.
Steve Henriksen, outside linebacker, Mac Conception.
Dave Gully, strong safety, Naperville North.
Brendan Lynch, fullback, Hinsdale Central.
Dave Smatansky, outside linebacker, Carl Sandberg.
David Ritter, safety, St. Lawrence High School.
Scott Andrews, inside linebacker, Lincoln Way High School.
Yale Acton, center, Bolingbrook.
John Cassidy, guard, Glumbar North. Bob Safransky, center, Lyons Township High School.
Rob Bush, defensive tackle, Hinsdale Central.
Chris Field, offensive guard, Bennett Academy. Mark Nebbs, offensive guard, Wheaton North.
Bob Galloway, offensive tackle, St. Lawrence High School.
Rob Baxley, offensive tackle, Oswego High School.
Mark Zitnick, defensive tackle, Lockport High School.
Eric Johnson, offensive guard, Hinsdale South.
Edward Thomas, offensive tackle, Richards High School.
Alex McGoach, defensive tackle, Addison Trail High School.
Doug Amaya, tight end, Oak Park Real Force High School.
Marvin Hunter, inside linebacker, Thornton High School.
Greg Fisher, split end, York High School.
Greg Storia, defensive tackle, Joliet Catholic.
Brendan Bentley, defensive tackle, Bennett Academy.
Gary Grauwinkle, York High School.
George Ludwig, Proviso East.
Gary Goforth, Benton Academy.
Phil Acton, Bolingbrook High School.
Terry Clark, York High School.
Tim Cederblatt, Bennett Academy.
Dave Kuhn, athletic trainer.
There you go. We have a good game coming up for your next. The North meets the South, and you stay tuned. We'll have the kickoff after you watch this. And we will get this game underway with rain. The North team is going to be kicking off, and they will defend the goal to our South. The Southern team will be receiving here, as they have a couple of deep safeties and definitely threats. Pat New on the near side and Brian Wise on the far side, and they certainly can do it. Getting ready to kick off is Derek Lewis, and we're set to get this game underway. Lewis approaches, hits the ball, does not carry too deep, but it'll come back, be taken by an up man. Gasparo across the 25 gets to the 30, and that's about it before he's swarmed under. So we'll see that blue offensive unit for the South. We'll see that white offensive unit with quarterback Kent Graham, one of the top players in the country. The running backs, Ronnie McGee and Brendan Lynch behind him. The split end, Greg Fisher. The tight end, Doug Amaya. The flanker, Pat New. And from tackle to tackle, starting on the left side, Rob Baxley, Chris Field, Bob Safransky over the ball at center, Mark Nebbs, and Bob Galloway. And out comes the South unit as they begin from their own 30-yard line. Kent Graham, he has a strong left on the first play. Man in motion, single back. Graham dropped back. He had a little trouble with the exchange, and he swarmed under for a loss, about 8 or 9 yards. A number of members of that defensive unit were there. Let's introduce them to you now, starting on the line. Their front five from left to right: Justin Fleetwood, Mike Degen, Paul Claps over the nose, Tim Carsello, and Mike Lowe. The linebackers, Brad Frystak and Jim Wagner. The corners, Steve Weron and Gary Francis, and the safeties, Brian Griffen, the free safety, and Gary Glauser, the strong safety. So as they come out here, it'll be second down. We'll call it 17. Loss of 7 on the play as Graham leads them out. 2 backs this time, set behind Graham. He has a strong right. Again, had a little trouble with the exchange. Rolls out, throws. It is incomplete. He was going for a receiver on the near side of the field. Could not connect as he was looking for one of his targets, Ken Parks, and was unable to connect with him. Bill, it looks like there was some problem with the exchanges today.
Well, Bill, I think that's one of the most important things about this football game. You know, it's something that we take for granted is the quarterback-center exchange. And in weather like this, that could be the most important aspect of this football game. You know, both teams practice all week, come in with a game plan, and in 15 minutes that game plan changes because of the kind of rain and weather we're having.
Well, it's 3rd and long. Tough to put the ball up, tough to hold your blocking assignments in this kind of weather, just to keep your cleats down on the turf. Wing formation this time. Graham rolls out. He's flushed out of the pocket, throws it on the run downfield. Was it intercepted? It was along that far sideline. It was intercepted. There was a battle for it, and the man who came up with it for the North All-Stars was Steve Weron, the cornerback who wrestled the ball away from the target, Greg Fisher, on that side.
We're going to see it right here. Kent Graham rolls out, looking for somebody deep. Wow, what a strong arm he has, Bill. And Weron just took the ball right away for the interception. Really an aggressive play.
So here comes the North squad now. Mark Benson, an all-state quarterback from Buffalo Grove. Wing formation on the first play. Benson leads him up, strong right. Hand off to the deep man, and not much room for the running back, Bill Kerstein, the deep man, as he barely got to the line of scrimmage. Here is the backfield for you now. Mark Benson at quarterback. The running backs, Bill Kerstein and Kenny Russell. The tight end, Darren Buchanan. The split end, Mike Howlett. The flanker or wing back is Walter Cade. And from tackle to tackle, left to right, big Stan Holsen, a 265-pounder, 6'8". Matt Bourke at guard, Ralph McLean at center, the right guard Scott Center, and Jim Wormsley is the right tackle. Gain on the play of, well, actually less than a yard. A handoff up the middle. There's a little gain on that.
There was a flag on that play, Bill.
This may be coming back. Let's set the defense while they get it organized for you. Taking a look at the defensive unit. A 3-man front, Rob Bush, Brendan Bentley, and Alex Magosh. On the defensive unit, the linebackers, outside linebackers, Dave Smatansky and Jim Kramer. The inside linebackers, Kevin Walsh and Dan Frevaletti. The cornerbacks, Jack Hull and Jason Whitehead. The safeties, Richard Buchanan and Dave Gully. What was the call on that, Bill?
That was an offsides on the North squad. And, you know, coming into this game, Coach Bill Mack felt he had to have ball control because he felt that his football team was a little smaller than the South football team. And, of course, the thing that you like is Bill Mack is a real advocate of the wing tee, and Mark Benson, of course, played the wing tee at Buffalo Grove. So he's running an offense that he's very familiar with.
So a relatively easy adjustment. You can see the wingman on the near side. One receiver flanked out also to the near side, and a strong right. Hand off to the deep man, Kirsten, trying to swing around. Got to the 40, and that's about it. We had a 2nd down and 17 there. He got 2 of that back, so that'll set up a 3rd down and 15. A lot of gang tackling by that South defensive unit. Guys like McGee and Bentley over there and the linebackers really closing it off.
There's Bill Kerstein. He's getting the ball, and it was an unbalanced line, Bill. And that's one of the things that Coach Mack is going to try and take advantage of, is try and put more people at the point of attack. He is definitely going to try and control the ball on the ground with the kind of weather we're having today.
Well, we'll see. They put in the wing position. Russel was in there, or excuse me, Eric Anderson was in that wing spot last time. 1 wide receiver's well out to the near side. Benson, play action fake. You can hear the defensive unit responding to it. 1 linebacker tried to shoot through. Benson's going to keep it up the side. He comes. Tried to push a pass forward. It fell to the ground and went out of bounds. That made the play dead immediately, and it'll set up a 4th down situation. So, we'll remind you the broadcast rights to this game have been granted to Sports Vision by the Chicago Sun-Times solely for the entertainment of the viewing audience. Any reproduction or other use of this program without the consent of Sports Vision is strictly prohibited.
Bill, they're calling that a forward pass, incomplete, and now, of course, it's 4th down in a punting situation.
So to do the punting, Mark Sheedy is in the ball game, standing back at his own 49-yard line. The line of scrimmage is the 39. 1 single deep man. The ball is hit. It looked like Buchanan may have been back there. The punt was no bargain. There'll be no return on this one. It went out at the 23-yard line, and so we will have a change of possessions here in the South. We'll see if they can get something going. Ball control is obviously the emphasis here.
Well, of course, that at least as far as the North is concerned, but the South comes out throwing the ball. But you mentioned about the punt, that it wasn't any kind of a bargain. But, Bill, have you ever tried to kick a ball that's about 20 pounds heavier than it normally should be? Yeah, that's like cement.
When we opened up, I just had trouble staying on my feet, not even considering doing anything else. Graham with the twin set behind him, or twin backs behind him, a strong right formation. Graham, the ball came loose and it was recovered. Graham had to fall on it. I'm not sure exactly what that was intended to be. It looked perhaps as if they were trying to set up an end around of some sort, maybe with the tight end coming back, Bill.
Well, let's see what the play right here. Yes, the guard is pulling. They definitely are trying to get a reverse kind of a play going, but you really couldn't tell from that scramble that we had. Pretty hard to handle the ball with the way the weather is.
2nd down and 12. Bob Safransky, the man over the ball at center, number 62, has a real assignment on his hands today. Strong right, 2nd down, we'll call it a long 12. Handoff, sweeping to the outside, not much room, as Ken Parks, trying to head outside, fought forward for a couple extra yards when it appeared they had him stopped. He got to the 28-yard line. Pretty good gain on that. Everything considered, he gained 8 yards.
Well, Ken Parks was stopped with about 3-yard gain, and he just kept going. And, of course, he's 6'1", 196, and we'll get a chance to see Ken Parks right here. Good handoff. He sees the opening, makes the turn, and here's where he kept going. He kept his feet going, gets that extra 4 yards that we talked about, Bill.
Well, you really want to have your legs churning in this kind of weather because you can break away from tackles. 3rd down, long 4. Parks again, sweeping the far side. Gang tackle him over there, fought forward.
Let's go!
He's pretty close to a 1st down. My hat's off. Yeah, they do get the 1st down. Parks just got the necessary yardage. My hat's off to the fans here with their umbrellas. They're out in force today.
This is the exact same play we ran before, Bill. Parks going round in, beats the corner, keeps his feet in. He actually made that 1st down on a lunge.
Very good effort. You look at it right here from ground level.
Steps up inside, Bill. Then he gets that extra yardage right here. He extends himself for that 1st down. Great effort by Ken Parks.
So the South registers the first down of the day. And up to the line come the South Stars. Gasborough is one of the running backs in there. He is shifted over to the far side of the field. He's away from the running side because the tight end's on the near side. Handoff goes to the other man, and going straight ahead, not much room for Brendan Lynch. He did get a couple fighting straight up the middle. So Lynch and Gasborough in that lineup right now is a twin set.
Well, here's Brendan Lynch, and he's 6'2", 207 pounds. I'm sure I'll probably have an opportunity to see him quite a few times because he's going to be playing at Wisconsin. But you really got a ton You've got a ton of players. Here's another angle that you can see. Little move inside, then he goes back inside, outside, then moves back in and make the yardage.
Very nice cut. Gain of 5, we'll call it. 2nd down and 5. There's no score in the game. South All-Stars have the ball right now. White uniforms against the 5-man front by the North. Man in motion is Pat New, clears the quarterback. Handoff goes, well, I thought it was a handoff. The quarterback kept it, and he was dropped for a loss. Kent Graham kept, well, a beautiful fake in there. Graham kept the ball, but I'll tell you what, the linemen didn't buy that fake for 1 minute. They stayed right with Graham, and they credit one of those linemen with hitting his assignment just perfectly.
Well, we're going to give Kent Graham credit for a fake, but it looked like he may have wanted to hand it off. I think he really wanted to hand the ball off to Gasborough. Gasborough wanted to go straight ahead, and they just didn't get the exchange right, Bill.
Big number 78, Mike Lowe, came through there. A little confusion. 3rd down and 7. Loss of 2.
Bill, you've got the elephant backfield in there. You've got Brendan Lynch at 207. You've got Gasborough at 238. Now, when you have this kind of weather, those are the kind of backs that you want carrying the ball.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do here. They have New as a wide receiver. They have a twin set to the right. And is it too much time?
Too much time.
They had New and Fisher on that far side. We'll see if they come back with that. This will be a 5-yard penalty. And now instead of a 3rd and 8, Bill, where you might be able to look over the middle, or a number of things that you could do to try to squeeze out the yardage, now you have to go to a medium pass pattern here.
Right, and of course, you want Ken Graham to either roll out or sprint out because he does that so well. Plus, he has the ability to run. Even though he's 6'5", he's a pretty good athlete.
Yes.
And you'd like to see him running with the ball if he can't throw the ball.
There's one of the coaches, and man without an umbrella. His concentration is fully on the game. He won't need to take a shower after this one's over. 3rd down. 13 yards to go for 1st down. Conversion down. Dropping back. Graham airs it out to the near side. In and out of the hands of Parks at the 40-yard line. As he was going for him, Ken Parks, the senior from Joliet Central High School. He'll be attending Southern Illinois University. But boy, any passing offense is so hard in this kind of weather.
Here's Kent Graham. He reverses out, and he just wants to get enough to be able to get the 1st down. He airs it out a little bit, but you know, when it's so slippery like that, it's really difficult to hold on to the football.
Lynch is in the ball game to punt. He's standing inside his own 15. Twin safety back at the 30-yard line for the North All-Stars as they have Rogers and Prosniewski. As the 2 deep men, Rogers is on the near side. Better hurry, the punt is blocked. Scramble for it. It'll be the North squad's ball no matter what. After the block punt with this rough weather, we'll be coming back. There's no score in the game. On that block punt, it was Mike Degen from Lake Park High School who got in there and blocked it. This is one of those situations where the punter just couldn't get a hold of the ball and couldn't do much with it. Lynch just was in a very, very rough spot. 1st and 10 as the North goes to work. They tried a running play over the far side, and Callahan carried it. Not much gain.
We'll get a chance right here, Bill. The ball bounced in front of Brendan Lynch. He went back, tried to get loose to kick it, and then when he did, it was blocked. And of course, that's what this kind of day is going to promote, is field position and breaks.
If he had been a right-footed punter, he might have been able to get that off, but as a lefty, he had to go to the wrong side.
That's correct.
Really made it tough on him. Gain of 3 in the last play, 2nd down and 7. Single back, there is a draw play. We were looking for that draw. We saw it in practice, and a good draw play as the ball was given to the running back, Kevin Callahan, and he got a 1st down.
Bill, that's a Bengal draw. Kenny Anderson used to do that for the Cincinnati Bengals. We used to use that play. It's a terrific play. Watch this. It's a great timing play. The quarterback drops back. He reaches around, as you can see right there, to give the football. That breaks the linebackers because once the quarterback gets past the running back, they no longer have to watch him.
Great play. The gain going all the way to the 12-yard line, 1st and 10. Trying to go outside, not much room for the running back, Jim Sellergreen, trying to go on that far side. He is from Maine South High School. Again, we tell you that we're bringing you this game in a driving rainstorm. You probably have a better view of the field than we do up here because it's a little foggy, but those cameras, those great color cameras cut right through it that we have from Trio Video. They cut right through it. We even had a little lightning and thunder you could hear just a few moments ago.
Yeah, I don't mind the rain. It's that other stuff I don't like, Bill.
Wide receiver Cade on the far side. Handoff straight ahead. Callahan just blasting forward inside the 10. Got down inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line before he is brought up down by the interior of the defensive line. Bagosh was there. And Smetansky to close the hole.
You know, Bill, a lot of people think, oh, gee, when you play a game like this in the rain, that, you know, it's really not the way you want to play a football game. But, you know, these kids out here are really having a lot of fun. And I'm sure they probably cheered when that rain was coming down so they wouldn't have to play in that heavy humidity.
Wingman to the near side. Sheedy, a wide receiver to the far side. Play action fake. Benson going up over the middle, and he overthrows his target in the end zone. The big wingback or tight end. He was going for Jim Swanson, a tight end who is attending Ohio University. Went to Maine South High School, overthrew him about 8 yards deep in the end zone.
And of course, again, it's really difficult to be able to see your people, move your feet, and still be able to throw the ball.
So out comes the North squad. It'll be a 4th and goal. Are they gonna go for it? No, they're gonna attempt the field goal. Derek Lewis is in, and Benson will hold for him. Remember, Benson could be a fake. This will be a 25-yard shot. The ball is down. Kick is away, and it did not make it. The ball looked rather ugly when it left the tee. For what reason, I'm not sure. If they didn't get it down or if perhaps he slipped with the weather, but it was just one of those situations.
I think it's called a 9-iron shot, Bill, because you get a little divot. Again, and you know, people are probably going to get tired of hearing this, but the weather really plays a role. And if you get too much grass, there's no way you can get the ball up. Plus, it's like a piece of cement when you kick it because the ball is so heavy.
1st and 10 for the South squad. We have no score in the game. Here from North Central College. Beautiful college field here. They had it in great shape about an hour before the game when the rains came. To the far side goes Greg Fisher. Receiver to the near side is Pat New. Single back with a wing behind quarterback Kent Graham. 1st and 10. Graham, a straight drop back. Looks under pressure. Airs it out for New. It's intercepted at the 35-yard line. Pat New was the target. He eventually ended up making the tackle. Steve Christian, a defensive back from Conan High School, who was attending Northern Illinois, stepped in there and he made a nifty interception.
And that's the 2nd interception. Kent Graham really airs the ball. Interesting to note, he's wearing gloves. He lets the ball go, and Steve Christensen is right with him, and he makes the play. Just at the break, he makes the play to the ball and makes the interception.
Steve Christian, who runs a 4.540, is considered to be a very, very good hitter.
You know, that's the thing that you want to go in a strategy situation, Bill. You want to get good field position in this kind of weather.
Dropping back. He had a single back this time looking. He's going to run with it. Crosses the 35, zigging and zagging inside the 30, and finally pulled down on a nice tackle taken over the sideline after a gain of 4 yards. Well, Benson looked downfield, but credit that North defense. They had everybody covered.
Well, and you also have to say Mark Benson did a nice job because he was able to see that there was nobody open, and he said, hey, we're going to keep the ball on the ground rather than turn it over. Here, Mark Benson sprints out, looks downfield, looks for a secondary receiver, doesn't see anybody, and turns it upfield and makes a gain out of the play. Nice little move right there. Makes a move inside, goes back outside, covers the ball, knocked out of bounds.
Rob Bush finally tackled him. 2nd down after the gain on the play and the give into the middle of the line. And that time, I'm sure it was Eric Anderson who carried it.
Right, and you know, it's a little surprising. Eric Anderson playing fullback as opposed to linebacker. I thought that he was recruited at Michigan as a linebacker, and he turns out he's playing offense, so it's interesting.
Well, I think this may be about the only game where he does that. I'm not sure. Of course, they could change him, but he certainly was recruited, was expected to play in this game as a linebacker.
Right, and of course, this is the kind of weather, again, that you want a big fullback.
Well, we had something, a flag flew at the line of scrimmage, Bill. I did not see it at the time.
It was against the North, and I didn't see the signal, Bill.
I think it was offside. They'll be coming back 5 yards. They'll give it down over. 2nd down and 11. Offside the call.
Now they're looking for that Bengal draw, aren't they?
I'll tell you what, that is a dangerous play because the quarterback delivers it at such an unusual angle. He's so deep when he hands off.
It's a great play.
Man made a jump. Benson stepping back. He's going to be, tries to get away, throws the ball. Will grounding be called here? No. No grounding on that. Benson tried to let it go, and really there were South players nearby. He was under tremendous pressure when he let the ball go.
Well, you'll see a good example of it right here. He's down, he's looking downfield, looks at all of his receivers, turns up inside, gets free, throws the ball. Well, 88 was there. He was in the general vicinity, Bill.
So it'll be a 3rd down and 11, and Benson likely in a situation where he has to put it up now. He sends Walter Cade to the far side. Formation, Benson dropping back, fires it. He has his man inside the 25. He's close to a 1st down as the ball was hauled in by Kevin Callahan. Did a good job. I think he came out of that wing spot.
It's a little play-action play, and of course you won't expect this with the weather, but he turns around, throws it to the wingback coming across the field. Good hit. Wow, that was a real defensive hit right there. Here's another angle that you can see. Benson turn around after he makes the play fake and throws the ball up in the air. And there's the end of the quarter.
First quarter is over. Credit Richard Buchanan, who's going to Northwestern. He's from Proviso East High School. An outstanding tackle on the play. No score at the end of the first quarter here from North Central College. Second quarter to begin, and we have switched ends. The North is on the attack with Mark Benson. He has behind him Sellergreen and Callahan, the 2 running backs. Man in motion, the handoff goes to Sellergreen, and he did not get very far. Or, excuse me, Callahan, rather, as he went right over that left side. Got a yard or 2 with a fresh set of downs here. It'll be 2nd down and 8 as they attack the left side, and they have some big guys on that left side, Bill, with Holsen, 6'8", 265, Bourke, 6'4", 265 for Maine South.
Well, I'm sure that Kevin Callahan likes running behind him, but he was one of the surprises in both camps. Coach Bill Mack feels he's a real good football player, and he's going to attend Yale University.
2nd down and 8. Benson with a strong right. Handoff this time is to Sellergreen. Cutting a nice cut as he was able to cut back and get nearly to the 15-yard line. Gain of about 6 on that, and he's only about a yard or maybe 2 away from a 1st down.
Interesting story about Jim Sellergreen that we're about to see right here. Gets the handoff from Mark Benson. Makes it look like he's going to go outside. Takes and dips inside. And really a nice piece of running, and he's running to the short side of the field, or the least strength of the North football team.
Yeah.
Jim Sellergreen's a baseball player, and he's going to be attending the University of Illinois as a baseball player, and probably won't play football.
Mark Sheedy to the near side. Handoff. Callahan tries to go forward. His legs were churning. He kept churning, but he stopped moving. He ran into a lot of beef. Rob Bush was there. Bentley, the interior of that line, and a flag, as you were going to mention.
Right,
Bill.
I was just going to mention there's a flag, and let's see what the official has to say.
Well, you might have heard that, an illegal formation with 6 players on the line.
And the reason that is because they jockey with their tight end and their wingback, Bill. And, you know, when you've only had a week of practice, that takes a little bit of a talent to know when that wingback's going to be up, when the tight end has to step back. And if you really don't have that synchronized, you're going to get these kind of penalties.
Bill, I notice our clock I don't think is functioning here. We have a rather strange reading on it. And matter of fact, we don't have the score either, which is 0-0. So where the clock is not working, we're just going to eyeball it. But it won't do much good to eyeball it because there won't be anything to look at.
That's all right. I don't think we're going to see the ball, that many scores, so we don't have to worry about it.
So as we mentioned earlier, the call was illegal formation, that they did not have the necessary number of players on the line. As you mentioned, Bill, that comes from jockeying those players in those 2 key positions around. You have to have 7 on the line of scrimmage. These officials, by the way, a veteran crew, most of them are from a Big Ten background. Wing formation, Benson carries it, sweeping inside the 10. Look at him go, got down inside the 10 to about the 9-yard line, and You were saying, Bill, how much he reminds you of Mike Greenfield, and that has to be one of the things that comes right to the front when you look at this play.
I think this is a good example. You see him take that wide step. He gets free from the end. He's able to break the contain of the defensive end and get around. That's why he made such a good gain. He has great feet, quick feet, and you'll see at this angle. See that wide step he took? Then he steps out, gets free from the defensive end, then turns up inside trying to get as much yardage as he can. Yes, he does. Definitely reminds me of Mike Greenfield, a quarterback at Northwestern.
First and goal at the 9-yard line. And Benson saw something he didn't like. You could hear somebody on the sideline yelling timeout. They may have feared, perhaps, Bill getting in that same situation where they got stuck with 6 men on the line of scrimmage.
Well, you don't want to be in inside the 10-yard line and make a mistake. And Mark Benson, of course, recognized that they weren't in the right formation or the players weren't lined up properly for the play he called. Yeah. And rather than waste it down, they might as well get it straightened out.
Any opportunity inside the 10, you have to make sure that you get the most out of it because of our situation.
Well, you've got to have 11 people doing the right thing. Now, Bill Mack is out on the field talking with Mark Benson, and I just happened to look in the crowd, and I saw Grant Blaney, and this has to remind him of his offense. There's a crowd, and somewhere in there, Grant Blaney, the coach of Buffalo Grove, watching his quarterback.
Let's give him a standing ovation right there. We have some standing right there in the front, don't we? But those people who came out today for the Chicago Sun-Times North-South Suburban All-Star game, there's Bill Mack, who is handling the offensive coordinating duties. He was inducted in the IHSFCA, the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame this year.
Right. Bill's been coaching for 25 years, and I've known him for a long time. And just done an outstanding job at Crystal Lake Central.
All right, Benson looks it over. He's going to keep it inside the 5 and got down to about the 4-yard line. Leaping may have gotten an extra yard. What a great move outside, as he was able to get outside and get the job done. Finally knocked down by Steve Henriksen, number 42. And really, that was a touchdown-saving tackle.
Well, Bill, one of the other things, too, is you want that quarterback to keep the ball. You don't want him handing the ball off and maybe have a mistake inside the 10-yard line where you might have a fumble. So we'll see right here. See if they go on that huge side of their left side of their offensive line.
2nd down and 4. The handoff. Not much room. Trying to cut back. And unable to get much done is Eric Anderson, as he was hit at the line, leaned forward for about a yard. That's all he could get. Jack Hull finally knocked him down.
One of the problems that you have with a wing T offense, and you'll see it right here, is when you're not going straight ahead, it's pretty difficult with the kind of footing not to be able to get a few yards. If you're running sideways, you really can't make the kind of yardage that you'd like to make with a wet field, Bill.
We have an official's timeout here, Bill. 3rd down and 3. 3rd down and goal at the 3. As a play being sent in from the North Stars. Let's see, Mark Sheedy in the huddle. Of course, he's a dangerous threat as a wide receiver, as we learned when he wore number 40 for Buffalo Grove and caught a touchdown pass. Sheedy going to the near side. Running backs, Kerstein is one of them. Handoff goes to Kerstein, cutting toward the right, diving forward. He didn't get there. He was going behind the black of his other back, Eric Anderson, who was trying to lead him through the hole. Got down near the goal line, didn't quite get there.
You get an opportunity to see the footing. Kerstein trying to go inside with the 2 guards pulling and a lead back, but he still couldn't get his nose across that goal line.
Footing was such. Bourke just didn't quite get there, did he? Number 64.
And you've got to get a real position, and you can't really get the kind of position you like right here. This sounds like the Bill and Bill Water show.
Well, there's plenty of water, I guarantee you that. 4th down at the goal line. 4th down and 1. They're going to go for it. Benson. Handoff straight ahead. Trying to dive. Let's see. No touchdown.
I don't think so. I don't think the official gave it to him.
The handoff. They stopped him. Callahan carried it. He was stopped dead. A trio of tacklers. And that were right there. Chris Field, number 65 on that goal line defense, made the hit.
But we'll be able to get a chance to see that right here. Again, we're not really going straight ahead. They're trying to take it on an angle, and he did not get it over. He did not stick his nose over that plane. But again, the strategy is you've got the opposing team on the 1-yard line, and if they make a mistake, touchdown. So as long as you keep the pressure on, Bill, why, we're in business.
Still no score. And now the South back right up against their own end zone. Graham, let's see what they try to do here. Graham trying to sneak out, and boy, he had to, it looked like he was caught behind the line of scrimmage. He ended up going over Mark Nebbs, his right guard. And very likely, because Nebbs played at Wheaton North, he ended up going over that right guard spot.
Well, you'll see a lot of bodies flying forward. He's just trying to get a little room. And Ken Graham, of course, at 6'5", if he falls, that's at least 5 yards. Look at those bodies flying in there.
Well, credit to North. They really had everybody charging hard. Gain of a yard on the play, and Graham really earned it. They have New and a tight receiver to the far side. Graham, a single back. Handoff goes to him. Oh, cutting over the left side. Not much room for Gasbarro, and it wouldn't be surprising that the big guy, 230-plus pounds, Gasbarro carried it.
238 pounds to be exact, Bill. 6'1", going to Purdue, and you certainly want that train to be going and running in this kind of weather. Here he is, grabs the football, and he's carrying some of those big old linemen right there, trying to get a little room, so at least if they have to punt, they have a little room to do so.
3rd down and 5.
Yeah, well, now do you put the ball up? Bad weather, you got Kent Graham, he's able to throw the ball, or do you play it conservatively, Bill? That's what an all-star game, that's why it's fun to have an all-star game.
3 men in the backfield. This is a rough one to figure. Now they send a man as a receiver. Actually, they had too many men on the field. Graham dropped the ball. Graham dropped the ball, and he was able to recover it. Well, that takes care of that. They had 12 men on the field, Bill, until the last minute, and then they sent one of them off at the very last moment.
Well, you don't know if that was planned or if that's a coaching strategy. But here we can see right here, it's a center exchange. And we mentioned that earlier in the football game. That's probably going to be the most important thing that you can do. Now, of course, you have the punt.
Yep.
And this is another dangerous play with this kind of weather.
Prosniewski and Weron are the deep men. Prosniewski and Weron for Lynch's punt. Right up against his own end zone. Got it off, carries pretty well. It is over the head of Prosniewski at the 48-yard line. Crosses midfield, he fumbled the ball. Over the sideline, let's see who got it. And boy, very fortunately, the North was able to recover, and the North continues with excellent field position. Boy, they'll be coming back. There's no score in the game. 2nd quarter, the North-South High School All-Star Game. "49-yard punt." We return to the North-South Suburban High School All-Star Game, sponsored by the Chicago Sun-Times. Long pass up the middle of the field, deflected, it's caught, this will be a touchdown. Going into the end zone on that deflection was Greg Fisher, as he took the ball, and it was a great effort as the ball was deflected, was caught in the air, and went into the end zone. Great effort there. As the ball was caught. Man, what an effort by Jim Swanson, a tight end.
Of course, that's something that you never know is going to happen, Bill, is when that ball pops up, everybody still has an opportunity to catch it.
6-0 the score. Try for the extra point. Derek Lewis is on to kick it. Benson will hold. Benson places it down. Lewis kicks it. It's all he can do to get it through, and he does so. Well, that was a rather rapid drive, wasn't it? 41 yards on a single play. Good effort.
Well, of course, here you'll get a chance to see it right here. You put some air under it, and you've got the defenders right there, but they tip the ball up, and there's why you have a tip drill.
Jason Whitehead was one of the receivers. Richard Buchanan, those were the 2 backs who were back.
5:45.
You see as the ball goes right up there, man, oh man, good concentration there by Swanson, Jim Swanson. to hang on to that ball. Swanson was figured to be used mostly as a backup running back. I don't think they've used him as that yet here today.
Well, I think that one of the reasons they wanted to do that, Bill, was because of the weather, figuring that your backs would get tired, and I don't think you'll see him at running back today.
Yeah.
Back off.
Derek Lewis will kick off. The deep men are new and wise. New to the far side, wise to the near side as you look at Derek Lewis getting ready to kick off. Lewis strikes it. The ball bounces. It'll take a wicked hop. Picked up by Gasparo, trying to find room. He lost the ball and was able to recover it. Made the right move, just dove on it, was looking for room to the outside. And then everything kind of broke loose on him. Good recovery.
Well, what can you say? Here's a run by Gasparo. He sees that that's plugged up. He moves out to the right, switches the ball, holds it rather loosely, and it looked like his knee pad hit the ball when he made the change.
Yeah. The ball just came out and it hit his knee pad and away it went. New quarterback in now, Dave Mitidiero. Strong right formation, 1st and 10. Mitidiero with a deep drop, he's under pressure, and down he goes. He was tackled. A great charge off of the line by Mike Degen, a senior from Lake Park. He, one of 11 players attending Northwestern University.
There was a center exchange, a little bit of a problem, which really gave the defensive unit a chance to get in on Dave Mitidiero. Again, first snap, a problem with the snap. And you know, Bill, where else have you seen two quarterbacks at 6'5", 225 pounds?
That's incredible. You don't even see that in the pros. 2nd down, 19. Loss of 9 on the play. Mitidiero. Again, a little problem with the snap. Hands it off and caught for a loss. For the North All-Stars is Ronnie McGee for the South Stars. Dukin didn't gain very much. To remind you, the critically acclaimed Sports Writers on TV can be seen Mondays at 7 right here on Sports Vision. Catch the Sports Writers on TV Mondays at 7 on Sports Vision. Chicago's winners on cable.
Well, you can't ask for any better field position that the North All-Stars have had in this first half, Bill.
Done a good job. Wide receiver whistle sound. They sent Jay White to the far side. What's this about?
4 minutes to halftime.
4 minutes to go for half.
Yes, we don't have any officials' indication of clock time here, so they have provided it for us. Our score 7-0 as the North squad got on the board. 4 minutes to go remaining here in the second period. We did wire the mics, our officials with a mic, but due to the wet weather, the microphone is shorted out and isn't working properly. So
I hope he doesn't get electrocuted.
I do too. If he started, he turned it off and kept it off. Mitidiero to the air, hits a man on the sideline, but he's not going anywhere. Tremendous effort just to hang on to that ball. Jay White was the receiver at the 20-yard line, and then he really got stuck, Bill.
Well, and of course, you'll get a chance to see that. And Rob Prosniewski from Crystal Lake Central, he comes up and makes the play. Now, this is a dangerous play. You're throwing across the field. If Prosniewski could have timed it a little bit, he'd have picked it off. It would have been 6 points.
And so it will be now a 4th down situation. That'll bring the punter, Lynch, back in. Here is the snap. Lynch gets it as hammers it. This ball carries very well once again. Over the head of Wise, it bounces inside the 20 and will go dead at the 15-yard line. What a punt by Lynch. Man, what a job he did.
Well, of course, that's the first time today, except for the first series of downs, that the North has had bad field position.
Yeah, that's right. And the North with a 7-0 lead. We expected to see Brian Rogers in there at quarterback as the backup quarterback now, and yes, he is in there. Brian Rogers in there to call the signals. He is from St. Charles High School. He's attending Illinois State, so Bob Batalski, the head coach there, will have a fine young quarterback coming in to help him.
Well, we had a chance to talk with Bob Batalski at Illinois State when we were at the 5A and 6A championships.
And did a very nice job. I enjoyed that interview a great deal. Wing back to the near side. He dropped the ball, trying to pull away from the center. Did Rogers. And there was a mad scramble on for the football. And I think, not sure if it was Rogers or Covered. It turned out to be Tom Weyhrich, an offensive lineman, who recovered.
There it was. What we mentioned earlier, there's the quarterback-center exchange. And of course, you've got a new quarterback coming in, and he hasn't had a chance to take that exchange. The ball's wet. The ball's fat because it's so heavy.
Weyhrich was pulling on that play, Bill. He actually walked right into the fumble, didn't he? Fortunately for him.
Right.
So it's a 2nd down and 10. No gain on the play, we'll say. Rogers, there was no contact. Encroachment here. The plane of the neutral zone was broken, but I didn't see any contact. Unless one of the offensive linemen moved, and of course, it's on the defense. And a dead ball foul.
You know, maybe this would be the appropriate time to mention that there are some rule changes, Bill, that will be a little different in this football game. If a team gets behind by 9 points by halftime, then they get a choice to receive the ball. Here we can see it. There he goes. He comes offside. He breaks the plane. And that's what the penalty was for.
2nd down and 5. Straight ahead, Rogers. Just trying to do what he can to fight forward. So Rogers kept it. And the South team is calling a time. We're probably around 2 minutes here.
Well, it might be, we want to mention a couple of other changes too. Now, we were coming into this football game expecting a lot of passing. And one of the rules that they were going to change is that the offensive linemen could use their hands. They could not do that in high school, but they changed that rule. Of course, we're not going to get the opportunity to see it with the way it's been raining here. But nevertheless, that was one of the rules. The other one, we mentioned this earlier, was that any team that falls behind 9 points after the first half will be able to receive the ball on a kickoff. They have that choice.
Yeah, we also had the very narrow hash marks you may have noticed, which will help out.
Right. And of course, there's a good picture of
a fan who can appreciate
that's
those narrow
right.
hash marks.
That's exactly right. At least they know where the ball is on the field.
That's right. Well, I tell you, we were at the banquet the other night. The cheerleaders here in this game are from Naperville North. And they are in attendance at Naperville North.
And you notice they're not facing the camera because they've got wet T-shirts, Bill.
All right. Well, I noticed you had a good eye, Bill. You catch every aspect of the game. If it's important, you're there. That's why you're up here with us.
That's why we're the color man.
Because if it's important, I know you're going to find it.
Third
down and 3.
I have only one question to ask you, though,
sir.
Bill. Is this the way Howard Cosell started?
Well, I'm not really sure about that. I know he went a long way. I find it hard to believe this would be the way he started. 3rd down and 3. South called timeout, so they have a chance to get the ball in a possession if they can hold here. Inside handoff, and the ball was carried forward by Eric Anderson. He got the 1st down, so that breaks the strategy for the South. And the North now has the ball with a fresh set of downs here. See what they can do.
And we have a timeout now with South. They have decided they want a timeout.
Oh, that's an interesting timeout. I wonder what the thinking is. They must be hoping they can strip it or something along those lines. I'm not sure what our exact picture is in terms of time remaining here.
At this point, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of strategy. The strategy is going to be between the players and that sideline. Every 2 minutes, they'll be thinking, well, maybe we ought to try this, maybe we ought to try this, because everything that they planned on using for the whole week is gone right out down the drain.
Yeah, I think we can definitely agree on that too, Bill, because everything we planned on doing this week has gone down the drain.
You got that right.
Including my shoes.
You know, I don't know if my pants are staying fresh. I think they're up to my knees by now.
Mine are over my knees. Mine are wet all the way up to my pockets. My goodness. Well, we've had a driving, and you'd think with all the hot weather we've had for the last 5 days, we would get the downpour about a half an hour prior to the game time. You know that.
It's fun at the old ballpark, right?
Somebody said that, yes. It's fun for the kids. One nice thing is we don't have to worry about heat problems for any of these kids.
Well, that's right, and I think this is another point, and it's a very important part, is generally when you have a game of this nature where it's wet and gooey, you don't have injuries, and of course that's the last thing you want to have in an all-star game, or any game for that matter.
Single back, double wing formation. Rogers will keep it, goes up the middle for a yard or two. That's all he could get. You saw the Sports Vision banner a few moments ago, Bill, and that reminds me that we wanted to congratulate all of our participating systems in helping us reach. We just reached over the 1 million home mark just a month or so ago, and we wanted to congratulate our systems and also everybody involved with the Sports Vision operation. Of course, our systems that participate are what make it all possible. We appreciate all of our participating systems around the Midwest. So over 1 million homes now can receive Sports Vision all over the Midwest area.
Now, does that mean that Chicago has been connected for cable?
We're working on that. I'm confident we will get that in the city of Chicago, which will come in very handy for me. Actually, part of Chicago is already wired.
Is that right?
Good portion of the Northwest side. Group W cable. They one of our subscribing cable systems. We're happy to have them with us today. Second down, 8 yards to go. Rogers giving 2 on the sneak. And again, he's just going to keep it. Goes ahead for 1 or 2 yards. I think the North here, Bill, perhaps a little bit afraid of a turnover at this end of the field, and obviously that's why the South called timeout here, thinking perhaps they could force one.
Right, and you've got a 7-0 lead, so you want to try and sit on it a little bit right here, and you certainly don't want to have any more quarterback center exchange problems, so he just takes the ball straight ahead and run the clock down.
And I don't know exactly what our time situation is, but I would guess we're around a minute or maybe less.
I would think probably less at this point. You want to run it down.
3rd down and 7. Again, our clock is now working. We have a 7-0 score. We've had very heavy weather here today, and it does have a tendency to do funky things to electronic equipment. Fortunately, all of our other gear on the telecast here has held up pretty well. Kerstein carrying over the far side, is sweeping a little bit. Got some yardage. He's within 2 or 3 of the first down. So they gave the hand up to Bill Kerstein from Deerfield.
You know, he's not that big, Bill. He's about 5'9", 175, and he's headed for a junior college in Saddleback. But Coach Adams really felt highly about him as a player. Felt like he was one of the best running backs he's ever had at Deerfield. And, of course, they've had some pretty good football teams up there.
Player of the year in Lake County. He is a very, very good player.
Bill, there it is.
There's the end of the first half. We have a 7-0 score. Time did indeed finally run out. We'll be coming up with our halftime activities here in the North-South Suburban High School All-Star game. Our score at half. It's the North 7 and the South nothing.
It's halftime at Kroller Field, North Central College, with the Chicago Sun-Times North-South Suburban All-Star Game. And here with me at halftime is Jack McInerney, the founder of the All-Star Game, head football coach at Westmont High School, and, of course, the fellow that's really put all this together, and as I said, the founder of the Suburban All-Star Game. Jack, I got a question to ask you. How did you start this game? This is the 4th annual game. I've been involved in football, haven't really heard all that much about it except this year, and of course now we're doing it here on Sports Vision. How did it all come about?
Well, about 8 years ago, when I basically founded the Suburban Football Coaches Association, we thought about an all-star game. Basically, I had a dream about 15 years ago about something like this because I really wanted to promote high school football, and I really didn't feel as if we were doing a real good job with it. Well, after we got our association together, I brought it up to our coaches about the concept that I had about putting together an all-star game for the suburban area. The Catholic League and the Public League years ago had one, and I felt as if we needed to do something for suburban football. And so we planned it for a year before we started the first one because we wanted to get all the bugaboos out and wanted to make it a first-class affair. And so the first 3 years went really well, and of course this year we really felt that it really snowballed with the Sun-Times picking up the sponsorship.
Well, and of course, the other thing is you're president of the Football Coaches Association, and of course that doesn't hurt the fact that you started the game and you've got the support of your people, and obviously all the coaches were certainly enthusiastic, at least in the first half, even with all the rain.
Well, basically, football's a great game, and high school football to me is just the greatest of them all. It's obviously the start of the careers of many of these young men. But when you have these type of fans and the coaches and the kids so enthused about something, it was just a situation where somebody had to start it, and then all of a sudden now it's snowballing. The kids love it, the parents love it. The younger athletes at these schools are looking forward to playing in this game, so it gives them a goal to set their sights on.
Okay, but on point of view here is, how do the coaches at the colleges where these young men are going and are going to attend on scholarship, how do they feel about this game?
Well, it's excellent for them from a recruiting standpoint because they get a chance to showcase the talent that they recruited. It's also excellent for the alumni in the Chicago suburban area because they get an opportunity to see what their coaches at their college are recruiting. So all in all, it's a great situation for everybody.
Coaches don't object to the fact that they might get hurt playing in a football game like this?
Not at all, and basically, you know, they could get hurt driving their car or riding their bike. So,
Jack, I feel exactly the same way. I just wanted to ask you because I know a lot of people always talk about that, and it's a point that's well made. You see states like Pennsylvania have all-star games. Ohio has them. They all have them, and we've had the Shrine game for a number of years, but never anything really in the Chicago area.
Well, basically, that was one of the reasons. The Shrine game, it's a tremendous game, sponsored for a tremendous event. One of the problems with it is it does start in August 1st, and some of the colleges now are saying it's too late because the kids have to report to camp earlier because of the advanced schedules at the NCAA. So consequently, our game is becoming the big game in the Midwest.
Well, the first half has certainly been an interesting one, and maybe the rain will lighten up and we'll have a little better game the second half. The score is the North 7, the South nothing, and we'll be right back after this message. It's halftime at Kroller Field at North Central College with the Chicago Sun-Times North-South Suburban All-Star Game, and the North leading the South 7-0 at halftime in a downpour. And with me at halftime is the Assistant Manager of Public Relations, Jack McGuinn from the Chicago Sun-Times. Jack, first half 7-0, all the rain. We haven't had rain in 5 days. What's happening out here?
It's got to be bad karma, Bill. I don't know. All we could have hoped for was good weather, but the weatherman hasn't given us much cooperation today. But in spite of that, we've got a football game here and a good one. It's a close score at the half, and there's a lot of good hitting going on out there, and we'll just wait and see what happens at halftime in the second half.
The first two things you didn't want to have happen, one was rain and the other was snow. One we weren't going to get, but we guess we got the other one. About the only thing you can say is good for rhubarb, but the kids seem to love it. They're having a ball out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's fun to play in the rain, I think, especially in football. And as I say, luckily no one was hurt in the first half, which is always good to see. And let's just hope we'll have a good second half, and maybe this rain will let up a little bit.
How did the Sun-Times come about to get involved with this game? Jack McInerney has done this on his own practically with the Coaches Association for 3 years, and now the Chicago Sun-Times has come in, and of course you and Taylor Bell have always done an outstanding job with Prep Sports, but how did you get about to be the main sponsor for this football game?
Well, basically, Bill, our sponsorship of this game is simply a continuation of the Sun-Times commitment to Prep Sports coverage in the area. And of course, Taylor has long been the dean of prep sports writers here in Chicago. And what happened back in January, there was just a short item in the Sun-Times that the game was in jeopardy. Jack McInerney was quoted as saying that it looked kind of grim for this year's game. They were looking for a major sponsor, and Bob Page, publisher and president of the Sun-Times, decided let's do it. And he's very enthusiastic about it.
Well, I think it's a great idea, the fact that we were able to do that. You have a lot of states nearby, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, that have always had all-star games, but the state of Illinois, having the only one with the Shriner game, really was the only one. And of course, coaches like to have their kids in the game. It gives them some incentive. And of course, a lot of the colleges like to see their players in this game because it's a prestige kind of thing.
Well, sure. It gives the colleges that these kids will be going to a little bit of a higher profile, especially some of the smaller schools. And, you know, there's really not much of a problem getting the kids to play, as evidenced by the first half here. We've got all the top suburban players here going. We've got the Sun-Times Player of the Year playing, and there's no problem getting the kids to play. And we're just glad to get the cooperation, though, from the college coaches. And luckily, the game is played early enough in the summer that if, unfortunately, there were to be an injury, they've got a good deal of recovery time before they start the ball in the fall.
Jack, I want to thank you for coming on here at halftime, and I also want to thank the Sun-Times for putting this on, because I think it's a tremendous thing, and even though it's in the fourth year, I think there's better things to come, simply with the fact that you're the major sponsor.
Well, thank you, Bill. I think this will be the first of many. Let's hope so.
Good. The score, the North 7, the South nothing. We'll be right back with Bill Hazen and Bill Gorley after this message.
Well, the rain certainly has come here at North Central College. Was definitely a factor in the first half of this game, which right now the North squad leads the South All-Stars, Suburban All-Stars, by a score of 7-0 here in the Sun-Times North-South Suburban All-Star game. Hi, everybody. Bill Hazen back here with my umbrella holder, William Gorley. Boy, I didn't know you had this much talent, William. Let's chat a little. I know, you certainly are with the left hand. What about the conditions and how the teams reacted to them here in the first half?
Well, of course, the conditions were just horrible. You certainly come into this football game, you've practiced for a week, doing some things that you thought were going to be a hot day, and you were ready to have a number of people fill in here and there because you were concerned about the heat. Then the rain comes. The kids love it because it's going to be a frolic time for them, but you have to adjust on the run. And, of course, field position and fumbles are going to make major problems for some team. And, of course, in this case, it was the South.
Well, the South, I think, we were pretty clear that they were going to consider throwing the ball, Bill. They wanted to come out and do some things. They have Graham. They have some great receivers. And they have a pretty good offensive line there. And yet, in this type of conditions, it's very difficult.
Yes, and the head coach, Gary Grauwinkle, he likes to throw the football. And, of course, he has two quarterbacks, Ken Graham at 6'5", 225. And he's got a young lad by the name of Mitidiero, who's from Lockport, who's 6'5", 220, who's going to go to Northwestern. And, of course, he wants to throw the football. So you've got those two big people that can throw the ball. You've got people that can block up front. And then you come in here and you say, wait a minute, we've got to run the football. Now, Bill Mack, he came into the football game saying we've got to control the ball. He wanted to throw the ball, go with the sprint action with Mark Benson and with a little play action and feel like he could keep those people off his back and maybe do something that way.
Yeah, ironically, it was throwing by which the only touchdown in this game was scored for the North squad. A team, as you say, has a running tendency to it, but Jim Swanson was the receiver on this play.
Well, let's take a look at it.
Benson, of course, an outstanding talent.
Well, there's the snap, and, of course, he makes a fake here, and he rolls out. He throws the ball. It's up in the air. It's up for grabs. It's still there. The tip, and there he goes. Swanson makes the catch, rolls back out, and makes a touchdown. And, of course, there's the tip drill. That's the reason coaches work and spend a lot of time on that tip drill.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Benson, I think when you see what Benson is about and what Graham is about. Graham is that drop-back passer. He likes to stay in that pocket a little bit. That's one thing I'm kind of curious about how he's going to be used at Notre Dame because, as we know, Lou Holtz is like to use that option. Look at Ricky Foggy, for example, out of Minnesota. It'll be interesting how he fits Graham into his offense.
Well, that's something we're going to have to wait a couple of years down the line, but Lou Holtz is a magician. He does a lot of things, and he does a lot of adaptation to the kind of people that he has for his offense. But it'll be interesting to see because you just don't find quarterbacks as big at 6'5", 225. I mean, how many quarterbacks have you seen at a major college level that are like that? So you have to make some changes, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But there's no question that Northwestern has to be happy with Mark Benson.
Yeah, and Mitidiero, of course, who's also going to Northwestern. He's a big young man. I think he's even a little bigger than Graham. He is a very tall and big guy.
Right, and I think that they all want a shot at quarterback, but you can only have one.
Yeah, I guess. We're going to have second half action coming up. 7-0 our score at half, so stay tuned as we'll be back to bring it to you right here on Sports Vision. Let us remind you, our next White Sox game on Sports Vision will be tomorrow at 7. The Sox will be taking on the Seattle Mariners. That'll be live at Comiskey Park. So be sure to join Don Drysdale and Frank Messer. They'll have all the action for you on Sports Vision. Remember that time, 7 o'clock. On Sports Vision, Chicago's Winners on cable. Bill Hazen back with Bill Gorley. We are watching Winners. This is the Chicago Sun-Times North-South Suburban All-Star game, and we have seen some winning performances, Bill, under very difficult circumstances.
Well, it's a shame, too, because this is probably the biggest buildup that this game has had, and I think a lot of people don't realize this is the 4th annual North-South All-Star game, and the Chicago Sun-Times has undertaken to sponsor it. And, of course, Sports Vision has put it on TV, and so here we get the rain that they've never had for the previous 3 years.
Wouldn't you know it? South leads the series 2-1. North trying to even it today. And getting ready to kick off is Derek Lewis. The deep receivers are Brian Wise. He is on the far side of the field, and Pat New. We'll take a look at them in a moment, but you're looking at Derek Lewis right there as he tries to get the ball properly teed up, and Wise and New are the deep receivers. Now they've moved up. They've moved all the way up to the 15-yard line, Bill. This is a direct anticipation of rather difficult footing here for the kicker.
Well, and as we mentioned before, that ball weighs a ton, and plus he doesn't have it high on the tee. He's got it flat.
And the ball carries through. New fields it at the 15-yard line. Up he comes. He has breakaway speed. Made a good cut, crossed the 30. Got out to the 34-yard line before he was finally brought down. And that's where the South squad will go to work, making the tackle Gary Glauser on that bomb squad. First and
well, here's the return. And of course, it was a flat kick, Bill, and Pat knew, and as you mentioned, has breakaway speed, but it really doesn't make any difference with that kind of field. You've just got to plod. You got to go and take step by step, because the great speed's not going to make any difference on this wet field.
Mitidiero is still in at quarterback now. He will lead them up. Mitidiero with a single back behind him. On what will be a 1st and 10, and the handoff goes to that single back, cutting toward the near side. Is that Gasparo? Yes, it is. The big Haas carried that ball over the near side, got some good yards, and may have gotten a 1st down. He was mighty close, depending upon where they spotted. About an 8-yard gain here, Bill.
Well, he's 6'1", 235 pounds from Marion Catholic, and he just makes a little move, and boom, he just explodes. And of course, you've got to be a pretty big guy to bring down 235 pounds. That's got a head of steam going.
Oh, it's too bad in a way the receivers have been in this game are not seeing much action, because a guy like Doug Amaya, the tight end, he is an outstanding receiver. We may not really see what he can do today. Again, Gasparo, oh, he was hit hard at the line of scrimmage and bounced right off of Brad Frystak and still managed to gain about a yard before he was brought down. But credit Brad Frystak, what I understand now is going to Aurora University, for standing him up.
And this is the kind of strategy that you see at halftime. The coaches just said, wait a minute, we can't do some of those things we'd like to do, and we'll give the ball to Andy Gasparo, and we'll just take it a yard by the time, trying to get 1st down, try and get that score back.
Well, this is close to a 1st down. Frystak actually made the tackle with help. Did a good job to hold him right there. Of course, Frystak was one of many, Bill, who was hoping that this performance, it really meant something. This game meant something to him, because he was one of those less publicized players. 1st down, the indication there. He's like several players in this game. Kenny Russell, for example. Less publicized, but good athletes who deserve a chance.
And a lot of them thought that they were maybe overlooked, and they're trying to make a decision and hoping that somebody might come along and say, look, we need somebody right now, and why don't you come along with us?
Gasparo is the only back set behind in a double tight end set. You saw the skies. It looks like the clear. Straight ahead goes Gasparo, and boy, he chewed up a lot of yardage, about 9 yards going up the middle. And just an explosive block by Rob Baxley, the left tackle, and boy, did he clear it out.
We'll get a chance to see it right here, Bill. It's just a little handoff, lead back, and Andy Gasparo just takes it straight ahead, trying to get those legs going, trying to get as many yards as he can. And it's all to one side. They're taking all of their backs. Look at the leg action he has right here, Bill. Picking up those feet. And they're going again to a strong set to one side. Now we've got motion, Bill.
Man in motion to the far side of Jay White. Handoff straight ahead. And a big carry as the ball. It was a great block by Safransky as Brendan Lynch carried it right over the right side in the center. Bob Safransky opened a great hole for him.
Well, again, it's another 200-pound back, and this is the kind of weather they like to play in. That's just a straight ahead play by Brendan Lynch.
Good cut.
Nothing fancy, just good straight ahead football.
Everybody tight this time. Lynch and Gasparo the backs. They have Brian Wise as a wingman, double tight end set. No man in motion this time. Mitidiero. Whoa, the ball came loose. It's caught in the air. It is a recovery in the air. The North team has it back. And making the recovery for the North All-Stars was John Even, a defensive lineman. He looked up and suddenly, whoa, look at this. I have a football in front of me.
Oh, there it is. It goes right up in the air. It looked like a bunt. Well, that's what you expect in this kind of weather. Here's a good angle of it. You'll see it. He even helped it up. Dave Mitidiero hit it up in the air.
He batted it by accident. He was trying to reach up to grab the ball, and he batted the ball away. So that stops the drive. Rogers, the quarterback, handing and trying to cut to the near side. Jim Sellergreen cut across the 45-yard line. Well, that was a big, big play. The South had had really right there, Bill, their first sustained drive, and now the North goes back to work.
And again, I think you see the strategy now that's coming to the front. Both teams are putting all their backs to one side. They're running to the strong side of their line, just trying to take it 2 or 3 yards at a time and keep the ball away from people and hold on to the football with 2 hands.
The late Woody Hayes would have loved this. This is grind 'em out football.
The only thing is there'd be no cloud of dust.
Cade split well out to the near side, but as you mentioned, now he's rolling that way. Benson just came in at quarterback, carries it, gets across the 40, across the 30. Finally brought down. Benson came in on that play, Bill. He had all of his running power to the right, and he ran what is a naked bootleg and took off.
Right, and it is a naked bootleg because there's nobody leading. He just faked the ball, let the end come in. You see the wide depth he got?
Yeah.
Then he turns on the burners, but he's holding that ball like a loaf of bread. My goodness, hold on to that football, Mark. Don't want to drop it.
Walter Cade finally actually did a great job of helping out blocking. He was the one wide receiver on that side of the field. Benson in there, quarterback now on a 1st and 10. Draw, and Jay White, he pitches it back to Benson. I know that isn't in the playbook. It's an ad lib now, and Benson scoots to the sideline. There was also a flag thrown. The handoff was given to Eric Anderson, and he got that ball on that Bengal draw you talked about, Bill, where he hooks it around from the outside.
Right, and of course the reason I mentioned it as a Bengal draw is because the Cincinnati Bengals ran it many years ago, and we can see it here on the screen. The quarterback comes back, he actually passes the back and then brings the ball around, as you can see right there. That really breaks the keys. It's a great football play, but it breaks the keys down. Now you see the pitch back to Mark Benson, and he's trying to get as much as he can. However, this is all for naught because there was a penalty. And the wide receiver to the short side of the field over here was in motion.
Greg Starha was the guy who jammed that play up. He's the guy who made the hit on Eric Anderson that forced him to pitch the ball back. Net effect is that we do have a penalty coming up. So this will move the ball back, as you mentioned, Bill. It resets the down. 1st down and 15 with the motion.
I'll have to talk to Bill Mack. There's a better way to time that up if the back turns a little bit. I'll have to talk to him about that Bengal draw.
I know, because you called Kenny Anderson to ask yourself. I remember you telling me that story. No tight end this time. Handoff straight ahead, and now Eric Anderson. He is hammering. Eric Anderson dropped behind the line of scrimmage for a loss, and that South unit was really firing off of the ball on that play. They won the battle on the right side of the line decisively.
Well, you'll see the battle right here, and there is no room to run. I mean, he stopped right now in his tracks.
Mark Zitnick, senior, 6'4", 240. Look at that. He nearly grabbed the face mask. May have grabbed it inadvertently there.
And that's what Mark Benson was complaining about, but the official said, we'll take care of it. You just go ahead and quarterback.
Mark Zitnick from Lockport High School. He's going to Illinois. 2nd down, 60. Going around the far side, not much room, and moving forward for the North All-Stars as he tried to take the ball ahead was Kenny Russell. There was a flag on that one as well, Bill. This may be coming back. Russell's a product of Aurora East. He will be attending Joliet Junior College.
A surprising play, Bill. You're playing in bad weather. The field's not real good, and you're playing in a part of the field that's real muddy. And yet we ran a reverse, and unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for, the North was offside.
And I think it was Russell coming out of that wide split there, Bill, who was the man, or he was actually coming out of a wingback position, wasn't he?
That's correct.
So he was the guy who had tried to get a little bit of a jump on the play.
Well, it's very much a time play, and if you haven't worked with it a great deal, you can get those kind of calls, and of course officials look for those kinds of things.
We are in the 3rd quarter. It's 7-0. The Suburban North Stars right now leading the Suburban South Stars, and the North team comes up to the line with that 7-0 lead. Mark Benson in there at quarterback. Wide receivers left. Drops back looking. Up into the pocket he goes, throws it. It is. Is it caught? Sheedy tried to make the catch at the 16-yard line. Not sure if he held on or not. I don't think he did. Mark Sheedy, his high school teammate, we saw those two lock up for a touchdown pass in the state finals. They call it a good pass. He did catch it.
Well, you know, Bill, it was kind of ironic. Each one of the officials were looking at each other, hoping that somebody else would make the call.
We will we'll pause. It is 7-0. The North leading the South. North with a fresh set of downs. Up they come. Benson, the quarterback, with a Callahan and Kerstein behind him. Play action fake. Benson again rolling to the far side. He's hit and dropped. Hit and dropped on an outstanding defensive play. Cutting the gap was Dave Smetansky. He's going to try to walk on at Northern Illinois, and I'll bet you Jerry Pettibone was happy to see him make that play.
Well, Smetansky's been fooled a couple times, but he sure wasn't on this one. There it is. There's the bootleg, and Smetansky had the outside leverage, and he made a great tackle on Mark Benson, who has some nifty feet. He tries to get free and has done so quite a bit today, but not on that play. Safransky, good football play.
The coach has told me that Smetansky has had an outstanding week of practice. He has really been one of the exceptional players for this North team. Second down, long yards. Benson drops back. He's rolling out. Now he's under pressure, heavy pressure. Dumps it. He has a screen set up, and Callahan is knocked out of bounds on the near sideline. Callahan got the ball in a pretty tough position. There wasn't much room to run. He was really kind of a valve man, a safety man. Mark Zitnik ran him over.
Well, you'll see the safety valve here. Mark Benson drops back, doesn't see the main receiver, tries to give himself a little room to run, and then dumps it off at the last minute when he sees Callahan in the open in the flat.
Well, credit Zitnik with a real good tackle. And Callahan was able to get some yardage, not very much on it. It'll be a third down and 15 yards. This would appear for a pass. Cade, Walter Cade to the far side. Of course, Benson is definitely a threat as a runner. Strong right, running power to the near side of the handoff is fake. Benson going back, looking. Cade is pretty well covered. Benson rolling out, looking in the middle zone. He throws it up in the air in the end zone. It was deflected at the goal line. Deflected by a defensive back, Bill Dooley, who was there as a free safety right at the goal line and nearly had a chance to intercept that ball.
Right, Bill Dooley out of Leiden, and he's going to Elmhurst College, a CCIW conference, and I think we'll get a chance to see how he came in for that. Maybe Mark Benson should have just ran with the football instead of airing it, but here he goes right back. Doesn't see his main receiver, comes back, gives himself a little time, buys a little time, puts the ball up in the air, and Bill Dooley gets his hand on it, and of course breaks up the play.
It is raining, but only lightly now. You probably can't, well, may be able to see just a touch of it in the top left corner of your screen. Field goal will be tried here. Derek Lewis is on. Benson will hold. Remember, it could be a fake. This will be a 37-yarder. Oh, and a boomer. Let's see if it had the distance. It did, but it was off to the right. Off to the right. And so the teams will give up possession. South will take over. Their offensive unit will come out onto the field. Boy, it's a tough day. You take a look at Derek Lewis. He's a frustrated guy, but boy, it is tough to kick effectively on a field like this.
It certainly is. And of course, the one thing that you notice that the North has been doing is that they've been keeping the pressure on the South, always with good field position, and they have a lot of confidence in what they can do. Even though if you took the weight per man, the North team is a little bit smaller than the South.
Greg Fisher is a split receiver to the far side. Jay White to the near side. White goes in motion. Quarterback is Kent Graham. He has a strong left. Handoff. Gasparo. Boy, oh boy, it is just hard to bring him down. If he has the necessary speed, this young man is going to be outstanding. He reminds me of a Larry Zonka type.
Well, obviously he must have some speed because he's going to be attending Purdue, and as I understand it, the University of Illinois was pretty interested in him. Here's a good example. He's so strong, his upper body strength, he can fight big linemen off, and he's not going to be a guy that's going to get 5 and 10 yards for you, but he's a guy that wants to be a fullback that'll get you those 2 and 3 when you need them real badly.
Second down and 7. The two running backs are Lynch and Gasparo. Man in motion, Wise again. It's a strong right this time. Mitidiero, the quarterback, running up. Shovels past the head, has his man into the midfield at the 40-yard line. Still on his feet, Ken Parks gets across the 40 to near the 45. Wow, a shovel pass straight forward for a completion to Ken Parks.
Well, that's the kind of thing. When you've got a quarterback that can move around, as we see with Mitidiero, he puts all his backs to one side, rolls out, doesn't see anybody open, comes upfield, sees the whole field, and just pushes the ball out to Parks, and Parks makes a great run. Southern Illinois looks like they've got a real runner for themselves in Ken Parks out of Joliet Central, Bill.
Rushed for 1,343 yards this past season. He picked up 10 touchdowns.
And, you know, he looks little out there, and he's 6'1", 196 pounds, which is not a bad size back.
He is a speedster. Well, Mitidiero came in as the new quarterback. He's still in there. Ken Parks lines up as a wing to the near side. Single back, twin wide receivers, and a strong left. Handoff straight ahead, and that one back, Brendan Lynch, ran into stiff resistance as he crossed the 45, running right into the interior of that defensive line. Paul Claps, the nose guard, was there, 6-footer, 200 pounds from Palatine. He's going to Harper, and he was an all-stater in the Chicago Sun-Times list.
Yes, he plays for a coach at Palatine High School by the name of Joe Patrica, and Joe, a young guy who just had a real serious operation. We're glad to see he's recovering.
You bet. It was great. We saw him at the banquet. He looked to be in fine spirits and in good shape. 2nd down and 9. Mitidiero, pump fakes. He's hit. He's dropped. The ball came loose. Who got it? It's recovered by the North. It's recovered by the North.
And you might be able to see with that big pile up there who's at the bottom. A lot of massive young men.
Paul Claps hit him. On the recovery, I'm not sure who it was, but Paul Claps is the guy who knocked the ball loose. Gary Francis, I think, recovered.
You'll see it right here. Mitidiero dropping back, trying to get that ball out. He can't control it. He's having a difficult time with the ball, holding on to it.
And the ball
Mike Lowe.
It was Lowe who was able to recover. Credit Mike Lowe with the recovery. 1st and 10. Benson still in at quarterback. Handoff to the deep man, and Sellergreen carries it across the 40, inside the 40, to the 38-yard line. Jim Sellergreen from Maine South High School. He's going to Illinois. Outstanding performer in the Central Suburban Conference.
And here we'll get a chance to see Jim Sellergreen, who's more of a baseball player than he is a football player, but he's not a bad football player, let me tell you. He picked that hole real good, didn't he?
He did a nice job. Gained 5 on it, William. 2nd down and 5. They send Walter Cade as the split receiver. Benson has a wing to the near side. Handoff straight ahead and plowing up yardage as he goes right into the middle of the pile. Eric Anderson going over his left guard. And he is pretty close to a 1st down before he was finally stood up and dropped.
You know, Bill, at this stage of the football game, you definitely would have to say that the North had most of the breaks because they've had good field position. The South has fumbled in crucial situations when they've been able to move the ball, and the North has always been there to take advantage of it. So you have to credit the North with being a little bit more alert at this point and taking advantage of their breaks.
They have had the 2 turnovers when they really needed them stop 2 South drives.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Now let's see what that measurement is.
3rd down and less than a yard, and they are going to measure. So the chain gang will come out. We mentioned before our officials are all Big Ten officials or major college officials assigned to this game. It's the same crew that's been working this game since its inception, and it's great for the officials too. You see the distance at about a yard, so it'll be 3rd down and 1.
You know why the officials like to work a game like this is it gets them back into the swing of things, just like announcers, where they have to get a game going and get back into the swing of things.
Well, and directors and everybody else, even cameramen and everybody.
That's right.
You know, one of the nice things about it too, Bill, we talk about for the teams, one a good reason to play in this game is to keep in football shape.
Well, that's right, and that's real important. And of course, after talking with a number of these kids at the banquet, they're all working out, they all have jobs, but this gets them back into the swing so that when they walk onto those campuses that they're going to, they'll be ready and have the kind of mentality you need to do to play football.
You saw a good look at Mark Benson there out of our end zone camera. The handoff straight ahead to Eric Anderson going over to left again. Same play as before. And this time he gained the necessary yards for the 1st down. And it's on that 3rd down and a yard. They cracked it over. Broke the plane of the 1st down yard markers. And so it's a 1st down with the ball just outside the 30-yard line. 1st and 10. Take a look at the North squad. There's the man who just carried that ball just a few moments ago. Eric Anderson. He is attending Michigan, and as we mentioned, we anticipated him playing on the defensive side of the ball. We'll do so.
I'll have to tell you another story about him sometime. I coached against his grandfather.
Well, you're a young guy, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I am, but I coached against his grandfather. His grandfather was the head coach at Woodstock and his dad was a tailback on that team back when I coached at North Chicago High School.
We have a 7-0 score with the North Suburban All-Stars in front. Fourth quarter action coming up. We begin fourth quarter. We'll remind you, baseball fans, don't forget the Sox 87 Weekly. The Jim Fregosi Show begins and is coming up Monday nights at 6:30. Join White Sox manager Jim Fregosi along with Frank Messer as they look at the Sox week in review. And it's a program we're very proud of here on Sports Vision. Exclusively 6:30 here on Sports Vision, Chicago's Winners on Cable.
Bill, I was just talking with a couple of coaches here that are in the stands, and they said it's not even raining in the north. So when people are watching this game, they're not going to be able to understand what's happening here.
Well, there's plenty of rain down here, we don't mind telling you. Benson flushed out of the pocket, looking for a target, puts it up downfield. He underthrew Walter Cade in the end zone. Underthrew him. Walter Cade was fighting to keep his feet in bounds, did everything he possibly could. And actually, had that ball been delivered, that would have been a touchdown.
I think it's a good example of what we're talking about. Mark Benson, I don't know how he can run with this. Grass is high, it's slippery, yet he's throwing against himself by throwing to the left. And here's a good example. Walter Cade trying to stay in, but couldn't make the catch.
2nd down and 10. This is a big offensive unit that the North squad has. They have some big offensive linemen. Benson with a wingman to the near side. Fake to Callahan. He keeps it inside the 26-yard line he got before he was driven over the sideline by Jack Hall, a defensive back who was there on the corner. I was able to drive him over. Still a 4-yard gain.
Right, and you know, you'll see example here, and of course, Francis Pay and Bob Camille have really got to be happy with that young man that he's going to Northwestern. Look at those feet on a bad field. Can you imagine what he would do on a dry field?
Well, you know, there's been so much talk about Kent Graham, and rightfully so. He's a very special athlete. But, you know, Benson really has been kind of overshadowed a little bit, Bill, especially when he didn't play much his junior year at Buffalo Grove.
But I think that's the key. He didn't have all the stats and all the recognition, but he's a fine football player. And maybe Kent Graham can't play wet weather. You never know.
Benson looking over the middle. He has Callahan out of the backfield to the 20 and driven over the sideline. Callahan carried the ball, was knocked off of his feet by Richard Buchanan. And also, Dave Ritter was there to help on the coverage.
As we were mentioning, Bill, you know, not everybody can play in a wet field.
Sure.
It's just like horses. Some horses run better in the mud, and these people are, they're stallions, and here's a good example. Here's Mark. He's got great feet, sees his man, knows where he is. Maybe he doesn't execute it as well if it was dry. And Kevin Callahan headed for Yale, and he's going to play at Yale for a good friend of mine, Carm Koza. I'm sure he's going to be happy with that young man.
I would think so. I'll tell you what, if the North scores here, this is going to put the South in a very difficult way. It's a 7-0 ball game. 1st and 10 at the 20. Hand off to Kerstein, trying to go over the right side. He stopped dead. Was able to get to the line of scrimmage. Dave Smetansky was there. Made the hit. Those corners are, outside linebackers doing a pretty good job holding the ground.
Well,
they have been getting a yard.
What will happen here if the North can score with what's been happening in terms of the field and with the bad weather conditions, pretty difficult to stop. They're running the clock down. They're keeping the pressure on the South.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Tough. A long way to go. Up they come over the ball at center. Ralph McLean from Waukegan East High School. He's going to Nebraska Lutheran. And these centers have gotten a real workout today with the exchange that we've talked about all day. Handoff Erickson trying to cut inside. And got to about the 16-yard line. And gives some good credit on the interior blocking. The guy we were talking about, Ralph McLean, did a good job of clearing it out for Erickson straight ahead.
And again, it looked like there was a problem with the exchange. Not so much with the center and quarterback, but more with the quarterback and the tailback. He gets the ball well, but almost looks like he didn't get him the ball and was a little bit concerned as he looked back. But no problem, no fumble.
3rd down and a short 7 yards to go. Up they come. Cade goes to the near side. He had a chance at a touchdown pass, but it was underthrown earlier. Wide receiver to the far side as well. Benson rolling that way, trying to get outside, inside the 15, leaps across the 10. He'll have the first down. It'll be 1st and goal. Mike Howlett is the guy who laid that last block. He was the wide receiver on the far side.
We'll get a chance to watch this. It's the same play that they've had a lot of success with. They beat the corner. Mike Howlett just enough of a block to hold up the defensive halfback so Mark Benson can get to the outside.
Benson really makes things happen.
Well, you can see him going around the corner here. He dips, comes upfield, gets the block from Mike Howlett, and then steps over a defender trying to make the tackle.
Nice job.
And Mike Howlett is headed for Eastern Illinois, and Bob Spoo is going to be the coach there. He'll be happy with him.
First and goal at the 8-yard line. Sheedy to the near side. Handoff straight ahead. Erickson, look at him go inside the 5, all the way to the 3-yard line. And the North now is attacking inside and outside. Guys like big Stan Holsen and big Matt Bourke. That's between the two of them, you're looking at over 500 pounds of beef on that left side.
Well, you'll get to see a chance right here of 500 pounds of beef. And there's Eric Anderson stepping on him, running over him, doing everything he can possibly do to get that extra yard.
Man, I'll tell you what, it's great. When you're looking at that left side, you see 6'8", 265, 6'4", 268.
Well,
these are big people.
I'll tell you what, though, Eric Anderson's got the genes. His uncle played for, or his grandfather played for the St. Louis Cardinals, and his dad was a great player at Northwestern, so he's got those genes.
Second down and goal at the 4. Benson keeps it. He faked. Get it outside, and this time they strung him out beautifully. And give credit to Jack Hall, number 14, who has been reading and really holding his ground at the corner. And that's, Bill, what that cornerback is supposed to do.
Well,
he's got to make that play.
That's right. The corner's got to come up and make the play. But here you go. He sees the fake. And, boy, what a good fake. There's the play right there. There's the person that made the play, number 46.
Smetansky.
And that's Dave Smetansky. And, you know, he made the play because he strung it out, gave the other people the opportunity to come up to make the tackle.
I would think Jerry Pettibone and the defensive coaches at Northern have to be very pleased with what they've seen from Dave Smetansky today. Third down at the 4-yard line. It's a goal situation. Benson dropping back. He's under heavy pressure. Flushed out. Holsen being chased. Puts it up in the air toward the end zone. Caught for a touchdown. A beautiful touchdown reception. It was caught in the end zone. And making the reception, Eric Anderson coming out of the backfield. Boy, what a beautiful catch by Eric Anderson as he hauled that ball in. Great effort.
We were talking about those genes. There's a good example right there.
12-yard drive covering 43 yards. 12-play drive. 43 yards, and that was an outstanding play, and Benson just showed you what he's capable of doing.
Well, and he didn't, you know, the good thing about that play is he didn't unload until the last possible minute. He wanted to get his hips rolled up the field so he could put something on the ball. The way he was running at an angle that's really difficult for a right-handed passer to be able to throw the ball.
13-0 as the extra point put up and through by Derek Lewis. That makes it 14-0.
Great shot of the field, isn't it, Bill?
Oh, yeah. Very good job there.
Let's take a look at the touchdown, what we were talking about, Bill.
So Benson.
Okay, there's the fake by Benson. He's flushed out of the pocket, keeps moving. Now, he cannot throw from that position because his shoulders haven't rolled up. Now he's rolling his shoulders up, throws the ball, and you see Eric Anderson make a tremendous catch right at the flag.
What great concentration by Eric Anderson, who's headed to Michigan.
And I think this angle will really show the kind of catch that Eric Anderson made. Mark Benson looking at the field. He's got to turn up. He's got to be able to throw the ball. There he is. He rolls his ball right on a line. What a roll.
You know, Bill, he is good at throwing against his momentum like that. There aren't many quarterbacks. You were talking about how hard it is to run to your left if you're a right-handed quarterback, and yet he does it beautifully.
Right. Well, if you can roll up the field and give yourself enough room, some right-handed people can do that very well. But unfortunately, a lot of right-handed people don't get the angle with which to roll their hips up to be able to throw the ball. And, of course, that's a coaching point, and obviously someone has done a good job with Mark Benson.
You know something? I think the rain has stopped.
And the game's probably about over right now, right?
Yeah, well, isn't that about par for the course today?
Well, now the kick is going to be flat.
And Derek Lewis will make it. New and Wiser, the deep receivers, will see if the ball gets that far or not. They're standing at their own 10-yard line.
Well, I think we've talked too soon. I hear some rumblings.
Yes, I do too. Well, at least for the moment, we've had a temporary respite. The ball goes through. It's misplayed by Wise. New picked it up. Going outside. Trying to fight. Just too many bodies to run through. Couldn't do it. Pat New got it back across the 20, but The South needs a score here, Bill, and they need it in a hurry. There's only, I would guess, maybe 6.5 minutes left in this game.
Well, if they score, now we're going to see the flat kick, and you're going to see the miss by Brian Wise, a squib kick, and then you see Pat New pick it up, and he's making the run. Well, he just swarmed. He can't really use that speed that he has to try and break it out. But what we were saying is, now if the South can score, they would get the ball back if they chose to get that kickoff back after the scores.
Kent Graham is in there at quarterback now, and you have to figure he'll go to the air. Straight pass drop, looking to the near side, nearly intercepted. He overthrew Greg Fisher. That's a timing pattern, and the timing was all messed up, and Rob Prosniewski had a chance nearly for one of those things.
Here's Kent Graham, three-step drop, just timed it, as you mentioned, Bill, and Prosniewski, I think he felt he had it. He was looking for 6 points.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about Prosniewski, his head coach, Bill Mack, I asked him earlier why someone would go to Delaware coming from here, and I guess he has a relationship with the Delaware coaching staff because he runs a wing tee, and that's how they recruited him.
2nd down and 10. Straight drop. Graham under pressure. They had him caught, and he still, with just pure physical strength, managed to get rid of the ball. Most quarterbacks would have been down on the turf. Paul Claps put his arms around him, but Graham was so strong he managed to stay up.
Well, at 6'5", 225 pounds, you better be a pretty big lineman to be able to bring him down. You've got to make a good hit on him, and you've got to hit him high. And of course, now the coaches are doing all their strategy now. They're trying to say, hey, do this defensively, do this, look for that.
3rd down and 10
And
here.
sometimes I wonder, do the players really hear all that?
You know the answer to that. You've never doubted the answer to that one. Greg Fisher to the near side. Single wide out, strong left formation here. Graham, play action fake. He's going long for Fisher down the field, and it was thrown out of bounds. Fisher with coverage there by Prosniewski once again. You mentioned the fact that Prosniewski is attending Delaware. There's Graham who's going to Notre Dame. I'll tell you one thing about Delaware. They have had some outstanding football there through the years. About 10 or 15 years ago, they were perennial Division II champs.
They've always done a good job. They're in that NCAA division playoff year after year, and they're a tough football team.
Timeout is being called. You saw Kent Graham signal it. They need a big play. They trail it 14-0. Do the South All-Stars trail the North All-Stars? This is the Chicago Sun-Times North-South Suburban All-Star Game. Bill Hazen along with Bill Gorley and our Sports Vision crew. We're happy to have you with us. We're happy to report that, at least temporarily anyway, the skies, while not sunny, are at least not loaded with rain.
Right, and the Bill and Bill Water Show is now just the Bill and Bill Sports Vision All-Star Game.
And I don't think our friend up there at Wisconsin Dells has anything to worry about.
No, absolutely not.
I'd say his water show is at least as good as ours, although we have a heck of a lot of talent out there on the field, and the fans here are really responding to it. They enjoy it, and we want to thank everybody with the Sun-Times and with this game. You had a chance to talk at halftime with some of the people integrally involved with the game, Bill. We want to thank them. We also want to thank the people there at North Central College who have really spread out the welcome mat for us. 4th down and 10. Big play. Graham's going to have to go get one right here. He's rolling out. Looking. Will he put it in the air? He stepped over the line. Did he or not? The ball is caught by a receiver up the field, across the 35-yard line. One of his backs, Brendan Lynch, out of the backfield, made the catch. Got across the 35-yard line. I thought he may have stepped over the line of scrimmage.
Well, it looks like it right here. He looks like he's turning it up, and he may be right here, but watch, he takes and comes back. You see? I think he came back, and he was... And so there was no way that he was going to be over the line of scrimmage.
All right. Well, he might have had a little room to give there, but the way he reacted, it looked as if he certainly was afraid of going over. They got the big conversion when they had to have it. 1st and 10. 14-0. The North All-Stars, with a win today, if they do win, will even the series at 2 apiece. But Graham has other ideas. His pass was blocked at the line of scrimmage. And big Bob Wolf, 6'4", 280-pounder from Wheeling. He's going to Western Michigan with the new coach over there.
Yeah, you'll see it right here. And And of course, Kent Graham is 6'5", but the fellow that knocks it down is just as big as he is, and he's going to see a lot of those big people in his face. You'll see it at this angle. He really didn't get the ball up in the air. He really didn't let the ball go high. He let it come down, and of course, that gives the lineman a chance to knock it down.
2nd down and 10. Well, both of these quarterbacks prove when they won state high school honors for their schools that they make the big plays when they have to. Certainly, Ken Graham has shown that many, many times. 2nd down and 10. Shotgun formation this time. Graham with one back there with him, Brendan Lynch. He's a belt man. They're going to the far side. Underthrew his target. The timing just a little bit off as he was going for tight end Doug Amaya. And we have a little extracurricular activity there. Doug Amaya came up a little angry.
Well, you know, that's a frustration. You're down 14-0. You expected to get the ball more in the air. He probably expected the passes, and we'll get a chance to look at it. But it's a little frustration right now. And here you go to the shotgun. Ken Graham looking one receiver the whole way, throws the ball. Not certainly a picture-perfect play, and he feels like maybe he shouldn't have been hit like that at the end of the play.
It was the man who hit him defensively for the North Stars was Brian Rogers, who's playing on the other side of the ball. Looked like he just tried to roll off of him, Bill. It didn't look like a really serious effort.
It wasn't intentional, but then Rich Ebner, he has to come in from Crown Dundee, and he's got to be the peacemaker and make sure everything's copacetic, right?
Yep. So back to business. 2nd down. Let's see if there were penalties assessed on this. Well, probably, no, there is a penalty assessed. Personal foul. This is a 15-yarder. See, the thing was, Rogers just rolled over him. He didn't really hit him. It was very clear from the replay he did not hit him hard, but just trying to really roll.
Yeah, you have to feel definitely a little bit of frustration. I mean, you come into this game thinking you're going to get maybe 15 to 10 receptions or possibly have the ball thrown to you that many times, and that might be the 2nd or 3rd one he's gotten all day, and of course he'd like to catch the ball and do a little bit in this game.
3rd down, 26. Graham needs a big play from the shotgun. Has a lot of time. Looking, he's going to put it up. The ball slipped out of his hands, and it would have been intercepted had 2 players not collided. Gary Glauser was there, and Paul Haas were there, and they were so anxious to get hold of that ball, they fought each other for it.
Well, it's a little bit like Alphonse and Gaston. I've got it, no, you got it, no, we got it. Here you go right here. You see Ken Graham. He's looking for the long one. He wants to break it. Let's go the ball, but really somebody hit his arm, and then, of course, you have Alphonse and Gaston trying to make the catch. That's all right. That's part of the game.
Yeah, you're right about that, and it looked like the guy who really had a shot at it was Paul Haas, and then Glauser came up.
Well, from the naked eye, you would think that it was just a bad pass, but one of the defensive linemen hit his arm, so he threw that duck.
So now you're looking at a 4th down and 26. You won't have a bigger situation than this right here. And Graham, man in motion out of the backfield. Graham looking, under pressure, bumps away. Boy, he's hard to tackle, isn't he? So big and strong. Way downfield, it's up there, up for grabs. Incomplete.
Amazing, and no flag.
Yeah.
All that bumping and not a flag.
Not a thing, as Brad Frystak was one of those back there for the blue North defensive unit.
Let's take a look at this, Bill. There's 22 players on a football team, and there's 7 right there. Now, Kent Graham breaks away, looking for the long one, takes and throws the ball, and there must be 24 guys on the ball. Look at this. Look at all those bodies, and no flag.
Well, you know, and that ball was really not thrown. That was hung up there for grabs, too. I think that ball slipped on him. I don't think he wanted to put it up there that high.
Well, I don't know how you can grab the ball. He's got gloves on, too, so I don't know how the heck you grab the ball with those.
I know how much you love gloves, Bill. Only for women, I think, is your attitude.
I think that's right.
Those ladies who served us at the banquet had those gloves on. They looked delightful, but none of them were playing football. Rogers pitches it back, thrown to the near side, and tucking the ball away, Kenny Russell, who earned a starting spot in this game. Stan Holsen with a good block there. Kenny Russell's an interesting story. He was not even in this game, Bill, until James Haywood signed a baseball contract.
Right, and here you'll get a chance to see him. Now, there's a bad exchange again, and it's a pitch out to Kenny Russell. Now, he's got the ball in the wrong arm, but he's trying to make as much yardage as he can. And as you mentioned, he was to replace James Haywood, who signed a professional baseball contract.
2nd down and 7. Strong right formation for Rogers. Has a 2-touchdown lead, and the ball came loose, but it was recovered by the intended back. I think that was Callahan. Yeah, it was Callahan who was there to recover. He was intended to carry the ball anyway.
Right, and there again is the quarterback-center exchange, and we'll get a good example of this right here. Watch that exchange. There's the ball. It comes up high, and there's no way that he can control it. And he hands it off rather than keeping it at the last minute. And, of course, Kevin Callahan recovers.
Saw Weyhrich there pulling again, Bill. He was almost in a situation where he had a chance to fall on another way. He had that happen earlier, you may remember.
Well, you know you don't like to pull people when you're playing this kind of weather.
4-minute warning. 4 minutes remaining in the game. It's 3rd down, and this will be 8 yards to go. They need to reach the 10-yard line.
Normally we don't get a 4-minute warning, but because of the clock not operating, that's why they're giving the benches the warning.
So you know what the situation is. We don't have a running time here as the scoreboard is down. We have 14-0 score. 3-man backfield. And a double tight end set. There are no wide receivers. Here's Russell as a flag flies. And Russell trying to cut inside, got a yard or two, and then he was stacked up quite a bit on a 3rd down and 8. He came nowhere near the 1st down.
And there's a flag, Bill.
Kevin Walsh finally stopped him. And it was man in motion. You might have had motion on 30. That was Russell.
Well, you know, when you run a Delaware wing T, which is what Bill Mack is trying to employ here, that's probably one of the most difficult things that you have to be able to control.
Penalty was declined.
Right, and these people have only had a week to practice, and of course they haven't practiced on a wet field. All we've been doing is practicing in hot weather.
Yeah, you couldn't find a wet field to save your life in the last few days around here because we have had unseasonably hot weather. They'll go for it. 4th down and 8. Up they come. Rogers brings him up from St. Charles High School. He has a wing to the near side. Dropping back, steps up, throws toward the far side corner, and overthrew Howlett, Mike Howlett, the senior from Schaumburg, who is going to Eastern Illinois, as you mentioned, twice all-conference. And he picked off 9 passes as a safety, a good two-way player.
Well, you have to think that Bob Spoo is looking for some good receivers. He being the quarterback coach at Purdue when they had all those great quarterbacks, and now he's the head coach, having an opportunity to be the head coach at Eastern Illinois. So I know it was very important for him to find 2 wide outs, and he's going to find one with Mike Howlett.
He does. Up they come, the South squad. And this will be their final shot to see. They need a big play here to get them in the game. They have been able to do nothing against this North defense, which has had a good day. Graham looks to the far side and overthrows Pat New at the 25-yard line. In a sense, that's what's really sad about a game like this, Bill, because you look at a guy like New, you know he's got breakaway speed. You'd love to see some of the deep patterns and things that you really like.
And I think a good example of it is right here. You'll see Kent Graham dropping back. Now, he's got a good handle on the ball. He really handles it well. But Pat New can't really get the kind of steps he needs necessary to be able to make the play. And that's what you have in an all-star game, is to be able to see those people who have those kind of abilities. And, of course, going into this football game, that's what they wanted.
2nd down and 10. They're in a situation now where they're throwing it almost every down they have to, trailing by 2 touchdowns. Man in motion as dropping back is Graham, flushed out of the pocket. He's under pressure. Steps away from another defender, but he will not step away from Jim Wagner, who is going to UCLA, the product of Buffalo Grove, who really stuck him over along the far sideline.
I think this is a good example of why Jim Wagner is one of the most sought-after linebackers. Now, Ken Graham, of course, is dropping back here. He's looking for the people. He wants to go as deep as possible. Dropping it off to the short man is not the answer. He tries to let it all out, and there's Jim Wagner coming up and really making a crunching tackle.
You know, Jim Wagner has sat in the stands the last 2 years, Bill, and watched this game. He's taken his friends to the game, hoping that one day he would play in it. And that's how a lot of these players feel. And so to them, it's very special. You know, you ask yourself, why play in a game like this? That's the reason why. You get that camaraderie and that pride is built up. And
well,
that's what happens.
And when you've got the kind of spirit that these people have about their ability, they want to show it.
Sure, exactly. And not one of them, you know, it's a teammate type thing. Everybody picks everybody else up. Nobody wants to be the guy who didn't cut it in this game.
Well, and the most fun that you get is that some of the people that you're playing with and some of the people you're playing against, you'll see them down over the years playing in college football. We're going to see a lot of these young men within the next 4 or 5 years doing a good deal of playing in not only in the Big Ten but in other conferences as well.
We saw Benson to Eric Anderson. Those two will be playing against each other perhaps next year. One to Northwestern, one to Michigan. Dropping out to the near side. Flag flies, pass is completed. It went to Brendan Lynch as Graham tossed it in there. It was a nice throw.
I think there's a flag, Bill, and it's holding on the offense, on the South team. And it's surprising that we haven't seen more of that.
Well, what else can go wrong?
Well, I mean, I don't mean just on the South team. I mean on both teams. I think that because this is the first time that these young people have been able to use their hands. And, you know, there's a lot of techniques to be able to block with your hands and not hold. And the tendency would be to grab somebody when you have the chance to do it. And we haven't seen that very much today. Yeah,
that's good. Well worth pointing out. We pointed it out earlier, but the linemen are allowed to extend their arms out in this game, different from in high school when you have to keep them in close to your body.
Sure, and for 4 years you've been learning a technique where you can't do that because you're going to get called for holding. And now, of course, you're playing in 1 week. You're expected to learn how to do it, but the penalty was declined, so here we go.
So that will make it now a 4th down, and with a gain on that play of roughly 7 yards, it'll be a 4th down and another 7 to go for a 1st down. Graham, Pat New has come into the game. He was carrying, I would think, a play. New and White have been bringing in plays during the game. Well, we've seen some players that I didn't get to see during their high school career, Bill. It's great to see some of these young men, people like Jay White from Stagg High School. We didn't know that much about him.
Well, you know, when you get up to the south side, it's a little far from the north side when you watch a football game.
Graham with a single back behind him and confusion at the line of scrimmage. Let's see what the encroachment was. See if one of the offensive linemen may have jumped too soon. I'm not sure. Or will it go against the North?
We have a dead ball encroachment on the defense.
There you have it. So it's 5 yards closer to another 1st down. Somebody entered the neutral zone.
You know, I better watch what I say about the south side. We've got a spotter and statistician, Mike Patino, who's from the south side. He's liable to hit me upside the head here.
No wonder he was a little confused when he walked in here. I knew there was some odd reason. Mike's doing a whale of a job, too. Thank you, Mike, for helping us out today. We very much appreciate it. Receivers left and right now. New to the far side. Single back behind quarterback Kent Graham. We saw some of Mitidiero earlier in this game. Play action fake now. Graham tries to keep it, trying to sneak forward. I don't know if that was a quarterback draw or not. It didn't look like one to me. Everything was so congested there, Bill.
Well, you know, you hate to guess what's going on here, and we'll maybe get a chance to take a look at it. I would say that it wasn't a quarterback draw. I would say that it looked like it might have been the wrong play, and one person didn't know what the other one was going to do, and rather than turn the ball over, Kent Graham just kept it and try to make as much out of it as he could.
Well, they did get a 1st down. South would just like to get on the board here if they can, but they need to move 70 yards in order to do so. Pat New is in the ballgame as a wide receiver to the far side. Gasparo, it was in motion. The ball came loose, and picking it up was Parks. Now he fumbles the ball. Who got it? North recovers. North recovers at the 46-yard line. And the man who came up with the ball was Steve Weron, number 40 from St. Charles. He's going to walk on at Iowa State, a very opportunistic young man.
I know we're having a tough time for statistics, but I've got to believe that every time the South has fumbled, that they have lost it, that the North has picked it up. Now here he comes out of the pack, after a fumble, and he coughs it up, and the North recovers the fumble.
1st and 10 at the, just with the nose of the football nearly to the 45, and the North can just now try to squeeze it out. Rogers is in at quarterback, and I would assume they'll just put it on the ground here. Sellergreen goes over the right. Once again, Rogers was all he could do to just grab the ball and hold it down for the handoff to Sellergreen.
Well, I'm sorry to see that all these fumbles have been such a big factor in a game like this, because you'd like to see the talent. You'd like to. It's a showcase. That's what an all-star game is all about. But sure, hey, what can you do? You can't fool with Mother Nature. It started to rain, so you do what you have to do.
Well, and I think obviously the muddy field has favored the North team, which has the bigger power runners, I guess, and has some. Although you look at a guy like Gasparo, he's probably not a better runner on the field than him. But boy, the North has been able to weather the a little better. Kenny Russell is caught. Russell trying to swing toward the near side. Steve Henriksen was there, as was Bill Dooley on that side.
Now that goes against what you should be doing on a field like this. You don't quick pitch the ball, but they're trying everything. What the heck? They practiced it all week. Why not try it? Here we go. Here's a good example. There's a quick pitch to the outside. Now he stutter steps, and of course whatever he might have gained, he lost as soon as he did the stutter step.
One young man on this football field today is attending Harvard, another one is attending Yale, and another one is named Yale.
Yeah, you don't wonder if he went to Harvard.
That's what I was wondering about. Kirsten cutting to the right. Would have been great to see Yale Acton attending Harvard, because then you have a Yale going to Harvard.
Oh, I don't believe you said that.
Yeah, I don't either. But what? It's a dirty business, but somebody had to do it, you know. And with that, the game comes to a conclusion.
And there it is, Bill.
Time runs out, and the North squad has, on that last play, that last carry, come home a winner with a 14-0 victory. The series is even at 2 games apiece. When we return, Bill Gorley and I will be wrapping up things. We'll be reviewing the game and looking over some of the highlights. That's when we return here to North Central College. This was the day of a number of adjustments for both of these teams, and it looks like the North adjusted a little better than the South did to our slippery turf conditions in a 14-0 final. And Bill Hazen back here with Bill Gorley. Well, we saw a good job by the North, not only offensively, Bill. We concentrated so much on the offense, we forgot a little bit about the defense, and the North defense did an outstanding job.
Right, but it was a shame to have all that rain, because you really wanted to showcase the talent. And, you know, it was a good football game. There's some great talent out there, but the fumbles made the difference in field position. And, of course, when you come into a game like this, you want to see fireworks.
Well, we saw some fireworks. A guy by the name of Eric Anderson did a great job. Caught a touchdown pass from Mark Benson, and Benson literally played it right to the end of the string, didn't he?
And, of course, it was a great play because he rolls out, he gets his hips, and he's being pursued by a number of people, looks downfield, rolls his hips up, avoids a couple of tacklers, lets go of the ball, and, of course, Eric Anderson makes a tremendous catch right at the goal line, inside the line for the touchdown.
Great concentration. He did a great job of concentrating, getting the job done. And Eric Anderson, by the way, we don't have the official numbers as far as individuals are concerned, but he finished as the leading rusher. This was a nice day for him.
Well, he had a great game, but I think if you had to choose the most valuable player, I think you'd have to go with Mark Benson.
Did a nice job. Bill, we'll take a look at the individual statistics, the team statistics as far as the game is concerned. I guess the thing that stands out, that total yardage, the North squad did manage to grind out 208 yards while the South squad held to 85. South just really never got going.
Well, Bill Mack, the head coach of North, said that he was going to try and do one thing, and that was to keep the ball away from the South, not knowing that it was going to rain and that he'd have to definitely do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the rain had an awful lot to do here, but the players, I think they really enjoyed it. You could sense out there they were having a lot of fun. We did have one little flare-up, which is bound to happen anytime you have a lot of people hitting a lot of people.
Well, no football player likes to play in humidity with all that junk you have to wear because it's just unpleasant, and don't let anybody ever tell you that it is. And of course, the fact that he comes to the All-Star game and he wants to play and he wants to do a good job, why, you got a little rain, and that just added to the fun.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun today, too, and I think it's great that the Chicago Sun-Times has gotten involved in this game and is supporting it as strongly in a principal sponsorship-type way as they have, and I think it's been great the way the their staff has responded. They've been delightful to us, and we certainly do appreciate it.
Well, I think people should realize that this is really the 4th annual football game, and it received a lot of publicity simply because the Chicago Sun-Times decided to be the major sponsor.
Well, Bill, it's been fun. We're going to watch them now over the next 4 years.
Right,
It'll be great.
I hope so.
All right, thank you, Bill Gorley. I'm Bill Hazen. Hope you enjoyed our telecast here today. Tomorrow on Sports Vision, it's Seattle taking on the White Sox at 7 p.m. Be with us for that. The executive producer for today's game, Jim Corno. Today's game has been produced and directed by Harlan Singer. Our associate director, Catherine Lissack. And remote facilities provided by Trio Video. Stay tuned now on Sports Vision. It's Golf Journal, followed by Chicago Racing Wrap-Up at 11:30, all here on Sports Vision, where once again we've seen the North All-Stars defeat the South All-Stars by a final score of 14-0. Bill Hazen for Bill Gorley. That is the story from North Central College for today. The preceding has been an exclusive Sports Vision presentation.